I'm all excited.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this week. As I say, I quite enjoyed this week's Coronation Street. It felt like a good mix of characters. It felt like there was enough old schoolers in this week's Cor, if you know what I mean. Because we had David, we had Maria.
I like that. The barbecue scenes.
Yeah. You had Kirk having a bit. Yes, there was some Swain stuff in there for the newbies. But actually, I think that this week was some of the most interested I've been in the Swaler stuff, and I'm not saying I'm not usually. I like Lisa and Carla together, but I often feel bad because I'm not completely obsessed, you know. There's some very hardcore Swaler fans out there.
You can't compete with them.
You can't compete with them, but sometimes when I see their level of passion for that couple, it makes me think, am I a bad fan?
I wish I cared about anything as much.
Yeah, but honestly, I think this is the most I've been like, ooh, let's have some more of that. Because, there were some unexpected twists and developments on Wednesday's episode that I honestly had no idea was coming. And it's got me hooked. Well done, Coronation Street.
Big props to Character of the Week, Lurking Bostello.
We did get to see Costello in the funeral, didn't we? Sad that he didn't get any lines, considering he has had them in the past.
He was just glowering in the background all the time, like, I can't believe I've lost a really cheap police officer. He's probably playing havoc with his budget now.
Yeah, so it was a good week on the whole, so I'm looking forward to tearing that apart with you later. Have you got... Well, I know you have, because I set you up with that. We did have a conversation about it. A bit of Corrie clickbait for the week. Has the media been stealing things off Facebook groups and turning them into stories as they are wont to do?
I want them to do you won't believe what this fan has decided to do in July. Clickbait, please.
Yes.
Soap Week.
This
is for you YouTube listeners.
Yes.
Soap-week.com.
Go and have a look at it.
Okay, this is why I'm excited. I can't wait to see how I mess this up. Clickbait. Thank you, Jonathan. Sent some more clickbait. And the first one is Coronation Street reveals, in inverted commas, Bernie's new couple's romance, and it's with someone unexpected. And this is from the Leicester Mercury.
Oh, really? New couple's romance for Bernie?
Yeah. Now, there's a bit of conversation in this article about the fact that Dev is going to return.
Yes.
So, it's not really in the market. But when
I
has that
can't
stopped?
even think. Like, what's Bernie been up to? She's just
I'm just going to tell you that this is just, she had a conversation with somebody.
I don't know. Kevin.
No.
Ronnie.
Michael, this is 2025.
What?
This is Pride Month. It was Glenda.
What? Of course. So Bernie's going to have an affair with Glenda. You heard it here first. Unless you saw the article,
they're both beautiful and lovely and bubbly, but I think
not. I think not.
Coronation Street, Brody's dad confirmed, inverted commas, in DNA twist. And it's not Kit or Mick from Belfast Live, which has rapidly become one of my favourite.
Belfast Live is a hub of clickbait, isn't it, for soaps? Gary?
No,
I thought it might be the third man in the mix here. Is it anyone that's anything to do with this story?
Is it Costello? They're not even in it now.
What? Really?
They came for a week and they left.
Jason?
Yes.
Okay, I
think I remember you telling me that people thought Jason was his dad.
Maybe I did, I don't remember. That's
maybe I hallucinated.
Ridiculous theory.
Okay. Coronation Street, Millie's baby's father revealed, inverted commas. These are doing so much heavy lifting. I tell you what, inverted commas have not had more work to do.
Since the era of clickbait. Yeah.
And he's on the cobbles already.
Okay, the father of Millie's baby. See, this was quite a good twist. Was this Monday? I can't remember
I still maintain she is not pregnant.
Yes. I don't know whether this is totally obvious, but as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, of course, that makes a whole lot of sense. I was knocked for six when Millie came on, I think it was Monday's episode, saying, oh, I'm up the duff, what do I do about it? And I totally believed her.
She's going to come out with a sad, tragic end to this pregnancy.
It is quite...
As soon as he goes back to Todd.
It is quite a soapy thing to do, to pretend you're pregnant just to try and get the attention of your dad. That's why she would do it, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
She wants to get her dad back home.
Worked.
He's fallen for it, hook, right in the seat. I kind of want it to be a fake one now. I don't think I'm ready for Theo to be a granddad just yet.
I've completely not even considered the fact that it might actually be true. I'm so convinced she's lying.
It's so funny, but I wonder what our listeners think. I've not looked at much of the discourse around this story, or so I don't know whether everybody is suggesting this. But has Gemma's theory maybe ruined a future twist? I don't know. Or is everybody talking about it? I don't know. Or do the synopses from next week's episode say Millie reveals that she's lying about her pregnancy? I don't know.
We don't
but
know.
It was very very well noticed by you. I like the idea of that.
You got to just think like a soap writer.
Anyway, so the who was this? Which fine
Baby
publication?
father, Lester Mercury.
Lester Mercury, the father of Millie's baby. I don't know, Brody.
Yeah.
Of course. He maybe looked at her once in the street, and he's a bit of a Steve McDonald in the old fertilisation department, and that's all it takes.
I think it's the hair.
Do you think?
I think the hair just gets you pregnant.
Maybe he's like he's.
Not me though. I don't like it. Just so you know.
Maybe he's like a poppy or a dandelion that just spreads its seed, dispersed its seed through the air. And when Brody shakes his hair enough, just little Brody seeds go floating along the cobbles.
I'll tell you what, that would be a really great way of stopping horrible old men from knocking up young girls, wouldn't it?
Why?
Well, because they wouldn't have any hair.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's how you tell.
I think that would probably be a really great way of preserving the future of the human race.
Right, what's next? What we got next to the...
Coronation Street Star makes exciting, inverted commas, admission ahead of big change, inverted commas, to ITV soap.
Oh, I saw this headline. This is unveiling, isn't it? But I don't know what the admission is. I didn't read the article.
This is again a bit of a stretch from Manchester Evening News.
What does lovely Elle have to say about next year's
She's admitting
changes?
Excitedly that the big change means you'll be getting more Corrie because it's on every day.
Not quite how maths works. We are having fewer hours of the show each week, but never mind. Wait, maybe she's right. Got any more for me?
Yeah, Coronation Street fans make demand as Platt family home transformation unveiled. Also from the Manchester Evening News.
I think that this is good. I'm glad that this has come up because I think I saw this headline, but I didn't click on it, so I don't actually know what the demand is. But why not, as we're on the subject, talk about our first reactions to the Platt family house? I mean, the thing is, there's not... Did we talk about this on the podcast when it happened? Because the videos of the inside of this house leaked.
Are you going to answer the question?
I'll get there.
No, let's answer the question first.
What's the demand?
Yeah.
And
then we can talk about the wonderful transformation.
I don't know what they could be demanding. No, not like take down the picture of Alfie, hopefully.
No, it's to do with the idea of set transformation in general.
Put it back to how it used to be.
No.
Oh, what is it then?
I would demand to bring back Kylie's hideous fake fur.
Yeah, that lovely
print.
pink. Yeah, I thought it was leopard, wasn't it?
Well, it was animal
What
print.
is the fans' demand?
They want them to make over Fizz and Tyrone's house.
Oh, okay.
And also
So they're saying that
fix Abby and Kevin's wallpaper.
one house at a time. Come on.
Look, can I just say I really like Fizz and Tyrone's house.
I love Fizz and Tyrone's house as it is at the moment.
What other people think about this, but my I grew up on a council estate. Like the houses that I lived in, I think most people, it's the 80s. Nobody had loads of money for decorating. I really like to see that nostalgic, like higgledy-piggledy. We can't change the wallpaper. This was what it was fashionable 20 years ago. Just deal with it. And everything doesn't match. There's stuff everywhere. That looks like a proper house to me.
It looks well lived in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can totally picture that being inside, when you go through that door of number 9. Whereas the Baileys still, as much I do quite like the Baileys, but it doesn't feel like
They're
it's
all
inhabiting
really
the same
posh.
space as where Emily Bishop used to live.
All the houses now, apart from the Fizz and Tyrone's and also Gemma and Chesney's, they're all really posh and like nicely decorated, aren't they? But they look like show homes. And I know lots of people have loads of money and they can decorate it and look nice, but I do think that there are vast amounts of people whose houses look more like those.
I saw
just
some
full
people.
Of crap.
I saw some people's reactions to the Platt house when either this week
Because
or when the video leaked a while ago, saying that they didn't like it. They said, they've changed too much. Bring back how it used to be. It just looks like a show home.
I think that the Platt house was kind of a bridge between those kind of really messy, chaotic houses that look like real houses that people live in, and all the posh show homes like Sarah's flat. And I couldn't believe it when they were all in there banging on, like Maria banging on and Sarah banging on about how they want to do their flats up. You've got fancy, swanky flats. What are you talking about? You just had them
rose
done.
Gold to the brim. So, yeah, I saw people saying that they didn't like this. I've seen some people saying they did like it as well. But I don't think that they needed to keep it too similar to how it was, because it feels like of all the houses on the street, it feels like the decor of number 8 really hasn't changed much since it was built in the early 90s. So we've had 35 odd years of that house looking pretty much the same. So I think it was, well overdue an upgrade. And if your house has been completely gutted by this raging inferno that your wayward stepson has set a light to, then I think, why not go the whole hog and make it look nice? Can you imagine David and Shona saying, oh, you know what, let's just make it look like it came from the early 90s again. Let's put a bit of Laura Ashley in there, No, I think that they're trendy enough that I can see them making it look like this.
Let's not forget that David Platt was the guy who had Trim Up North. And that was the trendiest looking...
That is very true, actually.
That was the trendiest looking business on the street.
Yeah. Well, I'm just pleased that Vin Diesel, the weasel, has made its way back. I don't know whether it's going to be proudly on show in this house. I assume so. That's why Gary brought it back. But it's not been... it obviously can't be on the glass table anymore, can it? But
it must be really interesting too, because the thing about all of these sets... They are very feminine, most of them, because you assume that the women are the ones who have decided... I don't think Gary went rose gold, Maria. I don't care about anything else except the light switches have to be rose gold. Yeah. I'll take it back if I'm wrong. But, I don't think that's his colour palette. Pink.
No.
And so that's really nice. And then you've got Sarah, who's got this kind of very dark, moody, like navy and gold. And then you've got Carla is again, they're all really distinctive and they're all very feminine. And I think that the Platt's house, again, they've had to think how can we make it so that when you're watching, you know immediately which set this is. So they've gone with a kind of slate blue and burnt orange, haven't they?
Yes.
Colour scheme.
It's lovely. And I also like to say, herringbone on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was in the interview that I did with Julia Goulding. I don't think it was off air, but I was asking her about, what would you like the new number 8 to be like? And this was way back at the beginning of the year before this was even ready. And she said, tell you what, I'd really like to have some nice bit of herringbone on the floor. And they actually got it. So I don't know whether this was actually Julia Goulding's request or whether it was just a coincidence. It's really funny to me that they've gone with that. And I think it looks nice.
We had herringbone in our old kitchen.
We did used to have herringbone. Yeah, apparently it does make it easier for filming to have a hard floor like this, because you can wheel the cameras all around a little bit easier.
That's why we've
got
it in our living room.
Behind the scenes goss for you there. But I think it looks lovely. It's very busy, isn't it? Like the wallpaper going up the stairs is a bit like a magic eye picture kind of thing. Like if you squint at it too much, then maybe Richard Hillman's face will come bursting out at you. But I like the colours. I tell you what I don't like about it is some of the choice of artwork. So there's this one thing. Well, obviously I'm not talking about Alf. I'm not slating Alf's portrait. Can I just say how much I adore the fact that that's been recovered from the Corrie prop store, because we've not really seen that on Corrie for a good number of years. Yeah, even Grasmere Drive itself has barely made an appearance in the last decade.
New Corrie fans might not know that Alf is Audrey's dead husband, who was the mayor of Weatherfield, which is why there is a picture of a guy with a funny hat on and a red. Yeah,
he's got his tricorn on,
red
hasn't
cape.
he?
This is him in his ceremonial garb.
And this picture is a proper Corrie iconic prop, hasn't it? Because back in the day, we used to see a lot more of Audrey's house, so that picture would show up. Or You know, it wasn't there all the time. It wasn't a regular house, but enough. So it's like, oh, back to Grasmere Drive. Oh, there's that lovely picture of Alf again. And I'm so thrilled that this is now going to be a regular occurrence on the street. And it's just a lovely little throwback to the days when Alf was here, 25 years ago. I think that's a really, really lovely touch. And like I said before, that Vin Diesel the Weasel being there is amazing to me.
This is that French artist. Those blow up. It looks like a balloon dog.
It does look like a
balloon
dog.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
You did interrupt me. Yeah, Vin Diesel the Weasel. Well, do you remember we did the Patreon episode? I don't remember when it was. At some point in the last 12 months about which Corrie props I thought we said which props we'd like to buy on ITV Reloved.
Oh, I got a different brief.
And I can't remember exactly where it appeared on my list, but Vin Diesel the Weasel, as I would absolutely love to have. I think it's a magnificent art piece, and because of how horribly, awfully tacky it is, but I love the expression, and it's not a real stuffed weasel, is it? It was like a fiberglass thing that's
somebody
probably quite expensive to
look
make.
Like dodgy taxidermy, which makes it even more hilarious.
Yeah, I really 100% do not buy that Gary Windass has been storing this thing in his furniture shop for the past, 8 months or so?
Without saying anything.
Without saying anything to David.
So when did it go in the skip?
It was when Trim Up North was kind of closed for good.
So tell you what,
it was last autumn sometime.
Gary was probably thinking, God, I'm bloody glad I didn't give it to him for Christmas, because it would have got burnt to a crisp.
This is, yeah. Can you imagine Vin Diesel going,
on
surrounded
fire.
by
That would have been a really great image to go to break with.
Yes, it would.
Matt Hilton would have really done a great angle on that one, wouldn't he?
You're right. But so I'm sorry, I was saying about the artwork. I don't really enjoy some of what they've got around there's lots of dog themed stuff. Like it mostly looks like various artistic depictions of David the dog, doesn't it?
Look like AI
there's one like black and white one with some rainbow background. There's another hideous thing with a dog wearing a orange bow tie and sunglasses. And you said that looks like an AI picture, and I don't know whether it is or not, but you're right. There's something weird about it, and I don't think that David or Shona would like that.
I don't know. I think that like I said about some of the sets being quite feminine. I think that there's a really nice compromise here, because the dining chairs are like brown leather, which kind of gives me the feel of like the Trim Up North stuff.
Yeah, you're right. That gives
and there's
me
a lot of like
vibes.
Black metal frame work on some of the shelving units, and like a big skull.
Oh, that skull's horrible. That crystal skull.
But it's very masculine, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think it's David, and I don't think it's Shona. Like if Max was still around saying, can I just have one thing in the lounge, please, David and Shona?
I can imagine a conversation between Nick and David where he's showing him the new place, and Nick's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "It's a skull, isn't it?" Like, why have you got that? Well, it's cool, isn't it? It's just like a skull.
I like that they've got...
Can't you imagine that conversation?
Yeah, no, I see, maybe. I like that they've got a portrait of Audrey and Gail on one of the walls as well. What do you think of the breakfast bar?
I think it's great. They knocked the wall through so that there's... where are they going to put their tea bags? Is my question.
Yeah.
Because that was always where the tea bags were.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. I think it's nice. I think it's modern, it's trendy, it's fresh, little bit different.
David said they wanted a kitchen island, but they couldn't afford one, so they've gone with a peninsula.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? I think it's a really, really positive change, and I'm sure it's a set that we're going to be seeing a hell of a lot of, because it is the Platts after all.
Yeah, it's all like granity and wood and like greys and oranges and slate blue.
It's quite... I suppose... maybe a problem is that it is quite the dark colour, isn't it? And Coronation Street sets are already on the dark side.
Get some lights.
Because the lights maybe need a few more lumens in them. One thing I forgot I might mention is that as we were watching today's episode, there was a shot where Nick's coming in. Well, it was after Lou crashes out on the table, and the family pile in, and you can see out the back door, and there's a really, really obvious set like mural on the back on the other side, isn't there?
Yeah.
To show that it's not actually really going outside. I think they need to maybe do something about that. Although that was also quite a fun scene, just because of the expression that Nick was making as
I just did
as he walked in through the door.
He looked so happy. He looked happier than he's ever been at any of his weddings. He loved finding
Lou crashed on the table with shards of glass all around her today.
Hilarious.
The most entertained he's been all week. So I'm feeling very positive about it. I'm interested to know what the listeners think. So tell us, what do you make of the Platt's house? And just because we've been raving about it doesn't mean you have to. If you hate it, tell us you hate it.
Yeah. If you go to the Coronation Street Instagram, they've got like a sort of talk through, and I think there was a video as well about the designer talking.
Is there?
Or set.
I've not seen that.
I'm sure that there's been press releases and information about.
There is some concept art of it as well, like something 3D CAD designed something or other. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It must be so exciting to be told we're going to redesign so and so set.
I wonder whether it's exciting or whether it's quite daunting, because
no, I bet it's really fun.
I would say, because it's remained largely unchanged for the best part of 35 years, that really is an iconic look of a Corrie set, isn't it? Like, of all the people's living rooms, probably only Ken's at number one is more.
Yeah, that looks like a normal front room as well, doesn't it? Because it's like it's not changed.
Yeah,
and it's full of like really old furniture that nobody wants.
So it's you got to get it right, but
no, I think you'd be well. First of all, you come up with loads of different concepts. It's not down to you to pick, is it? You just got to come up with ideas, and then you know that no matter what you do, someone's going to say it's terrible. So it's kind of freeing in a way. Like, well, if I can only fail, then let's fail with style.
Well, anyway, so the fans, so as we segue back to how we got into this conversation, they're demanding that number 9 change next, are they? I say leave it. It's absolutely fine as it is.
They don't realistically have the money. The reason why Shona and David had the money is because their house got burned down.
Yeah, they got the insurance payout. Did they?
I don't know.
Oh, no, they didn't. Audrey bought it, didn't she? Because they couldn't get an insurance payout.
Well, Audrey's not living in a hovel, is she?
Audrey's got her annex, hasn't she?
Yeah.
That's an interesting design feature to it. So when you go in the front door of the Platts now, there's another little side door that says Audrey's annex on it.
Yeah.
And that takes you into, where the garage used to be. So it'll be fun to see her popping out of there. I think I quite like the idea of Audrey moving in, because we haven't got Gail anymore. So having the maternal, the matriarch of the house, I think that could, in some way, it's ripe for comedic potential. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, I still don't think we're going to get a huge number of Audrey appearances during the year.
She was like, I'm not coming to the barbecue.
I think she's going to find her annex very cosy and not want to leave it for huge stretches of time. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
What are we talking about this week? We got some new storyline titles for you. I can't say that they're all gems, but I did shamelessly steal the first one from I think it was Stuart on the Facebook group, wasn't it, that put this one.
You cackled when you read this.
I did. Craig's funeral / memorial and everything surrounding Becky, Lisa, Carla,
Betsy.
Betsy.
It works on more than one level too, because there's more than one dead person.
I know. We're calling it a rest in peace.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for saying. I literally was sitting down to say, what storyline titles can we do this week?
I haven't got an idea.
I didn't get any storyline titles this week.
Did you see on Facebook? And you went, what?
Thank you very much for that. A rest in peace. I love it. I apologise in advance as well, because there might be a bit of mishmash of our notes this week, because basically everything that happened this week, or the vast majority of things that happened this week, somehow involved Lou. She was the main character this week, if there was such a thing in Coronation Street, and she was involved in this storyline. She was involved in the stuff with Maria. She was involved in the stuff with Tim and Sally, but originally I had everything with her and Maria tied in with the Tinker death story. But I've separated them out. I'm calling it Maria loses it, because she's losing it with Lou.
Is it not Maria Luke in the Maria?
No. It's not. People won't get that anymore. Number 3, Trouble Upped Mill. And that's Millie. There's Trouble Upped Mill. It's a baby trouble.
We had to have that at some point.
That had to be up there, didn't
classic.
it? We had a little bit more of the Foister story, although there's not much foisting going on anymore. And Bailey and Leanne. It just kind of sounds nice, doesn't it? The Ronnie, Bailey and Leanne, are they getting closer? Are they going to be getting who knows? there was a little bit of that on Monday.
Do you think that Leanne probably would find the Baileys more of her style of family than the Platts? Well, no, there was a conversation about Toya saying,
the barbecue,
saying, "No, get over it. I'm with Nick now." I wonder whether Leanne is like, "I was moving into this Baileys. They seem a bit more chill."
I don't know.
I genuinely think that Toya is more of a Baileys family and that Leanne is more of a Platt, because Leanne is chaos, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Leanne is off the rails at the moment, and I think that Toya is very sedate.
She just wants to keep her head under the radar, doesn't she?
Toya is more of a sedate kind of like, I'm not even gonna take issue with the fact you cremated my
and I'm not going to go 2 years without any storylines.
Maybe.
Perfect for Baileys. Would you have liked Leanne to have turned up? You know,
that would have been really
it
great.
It feels like it writes itself, having, you know, one of them invited Toya, one of them invited Leanne.
Yeah, that would have been really good. But I guess they wanted to keep the focus on the Lou and Maria stuff. Too many things would have happened.
Yeah, I suppose we have also just, you know, we were already getting every now and then Toya and Leanne locking horns and sniping at each other. You're right, maybe it would have taken it away. But anyway, I think that you would love to do the Arrest in Peace story, Gemma.
But you said you were interested in Carla and Lisa.
I'll do it if you want to. I'll say what's been going on this week, saying goodbye to old Craigie and hello to a little Swain mystery.
Who do you want to do it?
I'll do it. I'll do this one. We had Kit this week kind of going AWOL, didn't he, during the memorial? And Monday's episode involved him and Brody and having a seizure and everything.
Ugh.
And
I sorry that.
That part of it's not particularly grabbing me particularly, but Kit's kind of at the beginning of the week feeling a bit nervous about this upcoming memorial because he still partly blames himself for Craig's death. I'm gonna say as he should. I don't think that Craig would have got himself into that situation had Kit not told him to do one. So obviously he wasn't the one that swung the bat, and I'm not particularly interested in Kit having a guilty conscience for weeks and then sinking into some horrible depression or anything like that. But yeah, he needs to. Well, hopefully he won't make that mistake again. That's all I'm going to say. So,
what kind of addiction could he get into? Because we've had gambling, we've had booze, we've had drugs.
What would Kit really like to? What makes him tick? What rings his bell?
Wearing really long trousers.
I think he's already just addicted to being a bent copper.
Yeah, maybe he'd get addicted to watching Line of Duty.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, get the box set in there. Anyway, so Bernie says to him, "Look, no, it's not your fault, Kit. It's all Mick's fault. He's the one that did it." He's also offering his help to Lou if there's anything that she needs help with, and she's not interested in talking to him. He's like, "Look, if you go and get a DNA test and it turns out that I'm not the dad, I'll leave you alone." But she's like, "Are you? What do you think that she's?" I think at the end of the episode they kind of drop this whole storyline thread. But do you remember at the end of Monday's episode, Bernie's got, was it a bottle cap or something that had a little bit of Kit's DNA on? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, Brody's DNA, wasn't it? And
what a meddling so-and-so.
So I guess we're just going to have to wait a little bit to find out that Brody is Kit, which I think Brody's he probably is. Yeah.
This is so much text you've got to read, and we're like nearly an hour into it. We haven't really
talked about what's happening, Corey, this week.
It.
We've just been talking about critiquing decor choices.
So
anyway,
-week.com.
Yes. Bernie's like, don't worry about it. It's not your fault that Craig's dead. Brody comes in later and isn't happy to see that his mum's been talking to Kit. So Betsy, meanwhile, she's in full-on grumpy teenager mode this week. She's playing loud music, don't want to talk to her mum, so things are still very much...
Typical.
Yeah, they're not so good between mother and daughter, and it's only going to get worse as well. We also saw Kirk and Peanut heading off to Norfolk for Craig's funeral, the actual one.
I thought it was a bit rude that the police just decided that because there was going to be a memorial more locally to just not bother going to the actual funeral. I know that she said close relatives only or close family only, but that's literally nobody.
I don't think Weatherfield Police can afford to lose too many officers to go to frivolous funerals down in Norfolk, because there's a whole lot of crime going on here.
Is a funeral like a wedding where you can't stop people from coming?
I think that funerals... I don't know, actually.
Like a wedding, you can't be like, well, you're not allowed to come. If it's in a church, everyone's invited, basically.
Can you imagine George Shuttleworth standing outside saying, your name's not on the list, you're not coming in?
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, good question. Although, I mean, Blanche always used to turn up at funerals, didn't she? That was a hobby of hers. I'm sure she didn't get invited to them all. So I'm going to say, yes, you can turn up.
Yeah.
But, as I say, Weatherfield Police are quite busy as it goes. Kit bumps into Lisa outside the station later, and she brings up the fact that Craig's family wants him to make a speech at the memorial. And she reckons he's going to do a good job, but obviously because he's feeling a little bit guilty still about the whole death thing, it's kind of putting him on edge somewhat.
I know lots of people wanted Beth to come to the memorial, and they thought it was rubbish that she didn't come, but... I don't know behind the scenes stuff. I'm just going to say there are so many reasons beyond she didn't want to do it and they didn't want her to come. You know, like, Lisa George didn't want to do it and ITV didn't ask her. There are so many things beyond that could have happened that there is literally no point really complaining about it. Although it would have been nice, there are so many reasons why that are beyond everyone's control.
Yeah, but I would say that the only reason that they had this memorial was to explain the fact...
because they could have just had her go, I'm coming up for the funeral, and then they could have had an actual funeral.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what... If Lisa George was going to reprise her role as Beth for, to see Craig off, then why not just have everybody... Why not have the funeral in Weatherfield, This was the... This memorial was
she could
put
have still
there
come.
to...
Some people said she could have still come. And...
Yeah, she could have still come. I kind of wish they hadn't mentioned it, because I thought it was quite neat how they said, yeah, Beth's at this funeral, we're going to have something local. And I didn't need to think about the fact that Beth could have actually turned up at the memorial, so I wish it hadn't been mentioned in the script. Yeah. They did the whole, she's too sad to come down to it. She totally Diggory Comptoned this memorial here. So I'd rather they just not said anything about it. But anyway, meanwhile, you've got the other drama going on with Kit and Brody. Because Ardy's had this massive over-delivery of whiskies, and I don't know whether this is going to turn into the new Gale's Olive. I've got a feeling it's not going to catch on, but he's had too much stock delivered to the corner shop. So Brody, I said it again, decides to take a bottle off his hands and just not pay for it. But sadly for him, he is caught by his dad, ? Kit, he don't want anything to... Brody's like, no, I don't care what you got to say, Kit. I don't need you in my life. I know things about you that I could reveal all your secrets, a lot of things. And he kind of strides off, walks over to Lisa saying, I want to make a complaint against DC Green. He's harassing me. And I know that he had my dad beaten up on the inside too. This is his main bugbear, isn't it? And I think it's fair enough.
Justified.
Totally justified that if this guy has had his dad beaten up, which everybody seems to know, including Lisa, who's keeping that very much under her police helmet at the moment, isn't she?
They're all bent, Michael.
Lisa is being totally bent with this. This is going to come and bite her royally on the bum.
I don't know. She knows a lot of stuff about what Kit's got up to.
Does she? I can't remember
They've had other things where...
It's quite ironic that this whole story development about Becky being corrupt and investigated, whereas Lisa, who's usually kind of like, oh no, I pledge you everything by the book.
She's got such a goody two-shoes reputation, but she's really not at all. She's just there's a difference between being a goody two-shoes and having a bun. And I think she's just got the latter.
Do you think that the reason that they might use to explain why Lisa is so, to the letter, or at least she says that she is because of this whole anti-corruption thing that was...
Maybe.
That was levied.
She strikes me as a perennial...
She was a head girl at school, do you reckon?
She's the prefect at the minimum.
For sure. Anyway, so Brody has gone and tried to get Kit in trouble for harassing him, and Kit, I agree, I think Kit does need to leave him alone a little bit. Anyway, Lisa says, Brody, this is quite a serious allegation actually, but I will speak to him. but you're going to need evidence if you're saying that he's harassing you. And Brody says, you coppers, you're the same, closing the ranks to protect each other, getting people locked up for nothing. And Lisa's like, you need to open your eyes, mate. Your dad's a wrong un. Stop hero worshipping him, please. So at this factory later, you got there's nothing particular. Did anything happen with this? I wrote it down, but is Sally saying that they haven't got enough material for a particular order, and Carla's just snappy at her, saying you need to work on a different line though.
Weird.
I can't remember
whether comes up again.
I can't remember whether that came up into anything, but I suppose it ties into Carla just being a bit distracted and stressed out by
You're never going to buy a £795,000 cottage without having your eye on the ball.
Exactly. Kit hears from Swain over the phone about this complaint, and he tells Bernie that he's not worried. Brody's clearly making things up after he caught him stealing this bottle of whiskey earlier. This lad's trouble. No one's going to believe him, but he's clearly put a little bit on edge by it. Partly, maybe this explains his disappearance on Wednesday. I don't know.
So Brody just decides to up the ante, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He has a seizure round the side of the Rovers. So yet another Coronation Street character has been burdened with a horrible medical condition. But don't worry, because as Sarah Lou points out, David's also got epilepsy. And how many seizures of his have we seen over the last 15 years? What, 2? 3 maybe?
I think they cut the scene where the doctor comes in and says, "Now, Brody, as you know, you have a plot-related seizure disorder, which means that you're only ever going to have seizures when there's an important storyline going on. So my question to you is, do you think that there's something going on in your life that might actually be really dramatic at the moment?"
Yeah, do you think they have like leaflets for this at the medical centre saying, here's how you can reduce the effects of having a seizure?
Yeah,
Number
stop
one,
having affairs.
Stop having storylines. Just stand on the sides.
Don't have affairs. Don't commit crimes. Don't talk to anybody who's a main character. Mm-hmm. Move away from the street immediately.
Although, to be fair, David has all of these things going on, yet he's still somehow managing to keep his epilepsy under control.
Well, maybe they're like, look,
very good medicine.
Have you thought about the fact that perhaps you are having seizures because you're not doing anything else interesting?
Did you find Brody's seizures interesting?
Have you thought about maybe throwing a barbecue? Because that gets you out of it normally. Or having your house burned down.
Did you have any particular reaction to Brody having... I think I would just kind of roll my eyes a little bit about it.
Sorry, but me too.
I wasn't like, oh my gosh, Brody, I hope he's going to be okay. I don't think we were supposed to be thinking this.
This is the really worrying thing about it. That, you know... I'm all for Corrie raising awareness. In fact, I'm doing a thing about it. Soap Week is coming up soon. Raise money for your favourite charity. But, like, you know, people complain and say, oh, so-and-so's being forced in my face. Like, this is the perfect month for everyone to say, I'm fed up with being told about LGBTQ, blah, 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 blah. Stop rubbing it in my face. I'm worried that it's going to get to a point where people just... it's not even the fact that they don't like the soaps bringing up issues, it's the fact that the issues start to become stigmatised because we're having them forced into our face all the time.
Yeah.
And it feels like a really uncharitable way to think about it, but is the fact that Brody is epileptic, does it do anything for epileptics?
I don't think this is, and maybe it's not supposed to, but
no, it's
it
not
almost
supposed
feels
to at all.
It kind of almost feels like they said, oh, what can we have as a dramatic thing happen? Oh, I don't know, maybe we should just give him a seizure. We don't need to follow it up again afterwards.
But it'll
make a good break cliffhanger.
Is there going to be something about the fact he's got epilepsy that's going to be important later? Because if there isn't, why couldn't he have just got drunk and fell over? Because he was drinking.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
Is there a biological reason why? Is Kit going to realise, oh, he can't be my son because epilepsy ... I don't know.
Yeah, or is he going to have some kind of tests done on him in the hospital?
Is Kit going to find out he's secretly
or...
epileptic, but he's literally never been triggered because he doesn't care about anything?
Yeah. If it was just a way for Bernie to get hold of some of his DNA, then you're right, there probably could have been simpler ways to have done it.
Literally just he's drunk.
Yeah.
Like, people like... the doctor says, Kit, normally people get triggered by like flashing lights and stuff, but it seems like you as a police officer would really have noticed that you were epileptic before now. And he's like, well, I just closed my eyes and I can't be bothered.
I'm wondering whether, you know, whether his epilepsy might have been triggered when Liam kicked the living daylights out of him
Brody,
in prison in the STC, and
I don't know very much about it.
I don't know a whole lot about it either. But what if Dylan had triggered like a really bad seizure in Brody? That would have been could have gone. Yeah, could that could have gone to very dark places. I also remarked and thought it was quite interesting that he was having this seizure around the side of the Rovers, but nobody thought to like run into the medical centre.
Literally right there.
Get Dr. Gaddis out there. She'd have sorted him out, wouldn't she?
What about the nurses that were milling around the other day? They surely got nothing to do.
And I also did see people commenting online about the fact that the way that Kit dealt with Brody's seizure didn't particularly give the right messages about what to do when somebody is seizing, which is supposed to be you leave them to it.
Yeah, you don't do anything.
Kit was there. I don't remember. I haven't watched back in, so I have to just believe what the people who moaned about it online afterwards have said. Apparently he was there kind of cradling him a little bit and trying to move him. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Coronation Street fans horrified at this medical mishap on the show.
And it's I think it would be understandable if somebody who didn't know about seizures were to find somebody...
A police officer would know.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Kit should know. He should have some level of first aid training, but anyway...
Maybe the point
that's not my
was
nitpick,
that he
it's someone else's.
Overcome by emotion and wanted to touch his son in a moment of need.
Yeah, I suppose him having a seizure is going to trigger some kind of emotional response in Kit more than just finding him drunk would. Like, is this the moment where he was like, oh my gosh, this is my actual son here. He could be
dying.
Yeah, what's going on with him?
What you're supposed to do if somebody's having a fit is grab their tongue and like roll it on itself so they don't bite it. Isn't that true?
I'm not convinced, Gemma.
If you hold their ears and pull them out, they can't move their head.
Anyway, so poor old Brody, off he goes to hospital. So at the hospital, they're asked whether they are family to Brody, and Bernie, she kind of... Kit looks like he maybe wants to say that he's the dad, and Bernie says, no, we're just friends of the family, so the secret is still safe for the time being. Kit manages to get rid of Sarah by saying that you don't need to wait with me and Bernie, it's going to be fine. And then someone comes and tells Kit that Brody is asking to see him. So Brody is starting to soften a little bit maybe towards Kit here, because he does thank him for bringing him in. He did save his life after all. And this is where the whole backstory of, I've had epilepsy for years comes out. They can't work out what's causing it. And Kit says, look, don't worry. I'll keep it safe. I won't let anyone know about it.
That... We can't work out what's causing it. Is that the key to why this is in the show? Is there a mystery that Kit can solve?
Oh yeah, maybe. Maybe it is because he was conceived in amidst a flashback, and there's something to the space-time continuum, and it probably screws his DNA up or something. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, Lou turns up, thanks Kit, and says, you can leave though, I don't need you around here, because he's still in the doghouse with her. So
he's not in the doghouse, he's in the pub.
He goes to the pub later with Swain, and they're both just drinking because of Craig's funeral coming up, and they're all very sad about it. And she says, he says to her, I just need to make sure that I don't screw things up with the speech tomorrow, what with all my Brody drama going on. We do go back to the factory a little bit after that, don't we? Because this is that scene where Sally's convincing Betsy to go and take Carla her tea. So I think that scene earlier with Carla snapping about Sally's order was just as a preamble to the fact that she's distracted somewhat with all her family dramas, and Betsy goes and brings her some tea, and Carla talks to Betsy about how she's really struggling with Lisa at the moment. She's very closed off, what with the funeral and all. What should I do to try and bring her back out of her shell? I think Lisa is always fairly closed off, isn't she? She's not the most open book. She's incredibly, I think she's fairly normal, to be honest.
I think it's fine to be a bit sad when your colleague gets murdered.
Yeah. But Lisa... Again, she's just a bit of a cow, isn't she, when she comes home? Because Carla, bless her, who doesn't know
which spatula end is the right one to put in the food.
Exactly. She actually makes her some nice spaghetti when she comes home, and Lisa's like, I don't know, what are you doing? You're just doing this to try and make yourself feel better. I didn't want any of this. I think that it touches a bit of a nerve with Lisa, because maybe when Betsy got hit by the car, she was kind of dragged down the street for a little bit, and her entrails were...
Looks like spaghetti.
Exactly, I think it...
Maybe.
Yeah, a bit of flashback, a bit of PTSD on that one. But anyway, Lisa strops off to go for a walk, and Carla ends up having a dinner with Roy, who's obviously a lot more appreciative of it.
I've always got dinner plans. You can't invite me around for dinner at short notice, because I've already got something organised. Apart from today. What? If somebody wants to invite us around for dinner today, that'd be fine, because we haven't eaten yet.
No, we're going to have sausages and mash tonight, you say.
No, I haven't sausages and mash.
What are we having?
Sausages and mac and cheese.
Even better. So Betsy comes home, finds out what's happened later. Carla says, look, your mum's self-destructing, but I tell you what, I'm not going to let her do it on my watch. And then at the end of the episode, cliffhanger is Bernie revealing to Sarah Louise and Kit that she's nicked Brody's cap and will be able to get some DNA off it or something like that. So surely it's just going to prove what we already know. Are you imagining some kind of twist with this?
What would the twist be?
It's
Jason's.
I just can't think of anything else, because I don't need... There's not going to be another man that Lou's had it off with while Mick was in prison.
It can't be... For the longevity of the character of Brody, it's got to be Kit, isn't it?
Yeah, but are you expecting longevity for Brody?
I'm not fussed on it.
But it doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Not because I don't like... I think the character sadly just feels like Mason Mark
Yeah, we've said before, haven't we?
I know, but
it's just yet another in a long line of teen bullies. It's not
a reflection on the character or the actor, necessarily. It's just like, how much can I really care about another urchin?
Yeah, and it all obviously ties up with Kit, who, like I said before, I'm not particularly interested in.
But I love Kit.
I know. So yeah, I think
I'm kind of loving the turning here. A few more people are starting to like Kit. I'm noticing.
I don't think that many people not like him.
A lot of Swala fans don't like him, but I think the more that Lisa is kind of palling around with him, and I've always thought they had a very complicated relationship. They were very antagonistic when Kit first came in the show, because it seemed as though he was needling her on purpose and they were rivals.
Yes, I remember.
But I think the longer he's been in it, the more they just seem like brother and sister more, like, like squabbling, and they look out for each other. They don't necessarily get on that well. They're not the same sort of person, but because they're like comrades in arms, they have an understanding that's deeper than a lot of people can truly understand. And so there is this connection between those two characters, and I think that the writers and everyone are kind of pivoting a bit to tease that out a bit more. I think they're fascinating together.
Would you go so far to say that there's more chemistry between Lisa and Kit than there is between Lisa and Carla?
No, why would I say that?
I don't know. I just thought I was seeing whether we want to rile people up or not.
You're trying to get me in trouble. I don't think that at all. I really think that Lisa's a very fascinating character, and she's being written in a really interesting way. That she's not just like a 2D sort of... I think it would be really tempting to have the show go, right, this character is really important that everyone likes her, because she is, she's a gay woman who is having a relationship with one of the biggest characters of the show. Everyone must like this person, otherwise this whole thing won't work. We need to push this couple.
They are certainly not making her 100%
but
likeable.
She's like, oh no, I'm going to be a bitch. I'm not going to play a game. I'm going to be complicated. And
do you think it is a bit of a risk at all, though? Is there the possibility that people are going to be put off her?
I know that a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but I know there's a few people saying, she's so mardy, she's always moaning, I don't really like her. But I just think she's really interesting. I'd much rather have somebody like Lisa, who is complicated and she lashes out at the wrong people, rather than somebody quite bland and who's just there for everyone to like and adore. Sometimes
I do think, Carla, you're wasting your time on this one. It's just too much like hard work. Do you really need this? But then you get lovely scenes like at the end of Friday's episode where they're all looking at houses together as nice cozy family. It's like, oh yeah, no, I do like this. And we all have our off days, don't we?
I think the thing about Lisa is that she's really prickly, but I am as well. And so I feel like...
Oh, do you identify a little bit with Lisa?
Because she's always... She's like, yeah, she's sulky sometimes, and she's she doesn't take things the right way, and she can take offence at things that aren't supposed to be offensive. And Carla's just like really super patient, like you are with me. Like, all right, here we go. You're having a little bit of a strop. Okay, well, we'll just see how long this lasts.
I thought that Wednesday's episode was some of my favourite Lisa material, building herself up for the speech at Craig's memorial.
You just knew that she was going to have to deliver the speech.
Yeah, because Kit's gone AWOL at the beginning of the episode, hasn't he? There was that tiny little scene where Sarah Lou is looking around the flat for him that we didn't, no idea what's gone on with him. I didn't know whether we were supposed to be thinking, oh, has anything happened to him? Because sometimes when people can't be found, there's a big reveal later, and it just turns out that he wasn't really anywhere, particularly in the end.
Sulking.
But it was... I'm glad... Yeah, it was funny the fact that it was Lisa doing the speech, and I think it felt more genuine because Lisa is more... I think, despite being very much of a closed book, I think she's got more of a human side than Kit does, and it would have felt very hypocritical if Kit had done the speech, because Craig nothing but annoyed him, and I know that they were paired up a little bit every now and then, but Kit really did just spend an awful lot of time kind of ragging on him, looking down his nose at him, thinking, you're not only are you mere uniformed officer, but actually you're a bit of a village idiot. And I know Lisa did think that as well a little bit. That Tinker was the butt of the jokes at the station from what I gather, but at least she did show a bit more respect to him. So I felt
she saw him as a kid who wanted to make a difference and needed a chance.
Yeah, somebody who's not quite there yet. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so
anything that Kit said would have just been a sort of, I regret how I treated him, which is not at all what. It would have come from a place of guilt, whereas Lisa's actually talking about him as a person.
You're right, actually. I can imagine if Kit had gone up there to do the speech, he might have started off by sort of saying all these wonderful words about what an outstanding, upstanding officer Craig was, but then he probably would have been like, you know what, I can't do it, this is all my fault. And that kind of ruined it, maybe, because when we got to the actual speech that Lisa delivered, although she struggled to maintain her composure, I thought that was a really well-written, well-performed little obituary. I really, really thought they did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that happened before the memorial was Betsy going through some papers she wasn't supposed to, and then Lisa telling her she can't look at those because there's stuff about the donor in there and you can't see it till you're 18. Yeah, that was a bit of a red herring because it wasn't even that stuff. It was to do with Becky's work stuff. The corruption investigation. And this was, like I said, something that I had no idea was coming, and I didn't think that I would find as interesting as I did, and I'm not sure what made me what made me prick my ears up about it, but was it just line of
I
duty?
think it's just no, it wasn't necessarily even the corruption. I think just the fact that there's a bit of a mystery and a bit of an untold story there, and I hope that there is something juicy and it's not going to turn out to be literally nothing. But yeah, delving into Becky's backstory has certainly got me more interested than I expected it to. And Lisa keeping secrets from her daughter again, is that a bad move, or is it just the parental, it's your prerogative as a parent that some things you're not going to tell your kids about?
How would you have explained it to her? When would it have come up? I know that she probably should have told her before now, but she was hoping it would just completely go away. Like, at what point do you go, right, okay, your mum's died now, it's been a month, are you feeling all right? Okay, right. So she was being investigated for corruption, and I didn't know if she did it or not. Like, it's kind of irrelevant at that point.
I think it probably was the right thing to do not to tell her, because there's no reason that it would have got out, would it? It's not like it was in the papers and it was only a matter of time before Betsy would have found it. We
don't actually know what it was that she was in trouble for yet.
No.
And let's also not forget that how long ago was this? 5 years ago? Yes, it was, because it was during COVID. So it's 2020. Yeah. And so Betsy would have been, 12, 13? She's young. She would be a lot younger than she is now. It wouldn't have been necessary to have burdened her with this.
No.
She wouldn't have really understood as well as she can now. It's sad that she's found out about it at all.
Yeah.
And obviously there's going to be more to it, and it's going to turn out to be some big drama. But on the face of it, anyone can get investigated. I know it's more serious when you're a police officer, but you can get investigated or have a complaint made against you. Can you imagine, like, oh yeah, you know your mum was a librarian, but now sadly she's died, but she was under investigation for hiding all of the J.K. Rowling books. So I just want you to know that as well. I don't know if she did it, but you know that she probably would have done if she had.
So I found that side of it quite intriguing, but also even what Lisa originally said to Betsy, which was, oh, there's paperwork about the donor, and
that's interesting too, because there's now a time, there's like a countdown to when Betsy could probably find out.
Yeah, I don't know whether we'd known. I'm sure that there are fans out there that would tell us. I don't know whether we'd really been told a whole lot about who the dad was, whether it was an anonymous donor, whether it was somebody that they knew.
No, I don't think we knew at all.
No,
so it sounds like they did an official like sperm bank.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone had thought, like, oh, Becky's... First of all, we weren't sure who carried Betsy.
It seems pretty much certain now that it was Becky.
And then a lot of people were saying, oh, is it... was it an affair or something more unsavoury? Or... It still is possible that the person down the line that they decide to make the donor could still not be the donor, and Becky could be in even more of a bother. This poor woman's being besmirched from beyond the grave. But that would be another twist that if I was writing this show, I'd have in my back pocket that the donor might not even be who ended up being the person who is the father, because
it seems quite rife for soapy twists in the future, and they don't need to blow their load now and say it all. You said, keep it in the back pocket, because if they want to investigate it further down the line, they still can. I say that Lisa should have a twin brother, and he was the one that donated the DNA. So then, in a way, because twins have got do they have shared DNA? Is that how it works?
Identical do. But she wouldn't be identical, would she, with her twin brother?
So that's
unless she's trans.
That's me schooled on DNA.
Well, she'd be fraternal, wouldn't she, if she had a...
oh, well.
I'm just saying, can I say this? Coronation Street has woefully underused the concept of a twin on Coronation Street. There are so many points where we could have had an evil twin or a secret twin or whatever. The only time we ever had a twin on Coronation Street was a grumpy old woman who turned up to the grumpy old woman's funeral, who happened to be her twin sister.
That was funny.
What a way to use the most amazing soap trope of all time.
Yeah.
Do you think every single time do you think all the producers have like a big red box and it says open in case of emergency, and inside it just says make a twin out
identical
of
twin? Yeah. There's been plenty of twins on Coronation Street over the years, but none of them have been identical, have they?
Yeah. No,
anyway.
we know that there's been actually probably more identical twins on Coronation Street than not, because everybody starts out, if they're born on the show as a baby, he's an identical twin.
Yeah, I know.
Bring them back.
I know. Right. Anyway, so we digress again. So it's everyone's at the bistro for this memorial later, and I really enjoyed the reminiscing. Wednesday's episode was really fun for me, and I liked
memorials for dead coppers.
I liked everybody sitting around just kind of chewing the cud and going, oh, I remember Craig. And again, part of it was a little bit hypocritical. I know that he was loved in the community, but everybody also did.
Nobody went, I used to take the mick out of him for bad.
Yeah, nobody mentioned that he was the butt of everybody's jokes. But yeah, they talked about...
I don't think you would bring it up.
No, I know. They talked about, they mentioned Daryl the rat, didn't they? They were, this is the scene as well where Sally talks about his mural, the Maddie mural around the back of the ginnel, and she 100% says Muriel in a lovely tribute to Hilda Ogden. I very much appreciated whoever it was that snuck that one into the script. What I don't appreciate is the fact that the subtitler, because we put the subtitles on for this scene, just wrote it as mural. Sally did not say Muriel. She said Muriel.
Learn your Corrie history, subtitler.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, Sally and Hilda did know each other, and Hilda
Sally lodged with Hilda, didn't she?
Really think she was up to snuff to begin with.
I know. Anyway, thank you very much. That was a very lovely touch. So, we got Lisa.
We got Jess. Jess was in it.
She was, yeah.
Yeah, she and Lisa are worrying about where Kit is.
Yeah, I thought that Jess looked lovely, because we had Lisa and Jess in their full-on copper regalia, didn't we?
I thought the gloves were a bit much. I know that they probably have to wear them, but it wasn't an official event, was it?
They didn't have like a 10-gun salute or anything like that.
They look just like really bad quality. You know what I mean? Like, properly nice gloves fit your hands really well, and so they just look like big Mickey Mouse hands.
Can't say that I looked at her that closely, but yeah, I thought that Jess looked lovely, and she had her hair all out, didn't she? And
gorgeous.
Yeah, and we did wonder whether Lisa was going to go full on dress robes. There was a
Dress
bit
robes? What do you think this is?
Harry
Hogwarts?
Potter. Sorry, it's because you said J.K. Rowling earlier. There was a bit later on where Lisa says, "I've got to go and get changed for work," doesn't she? But
yeah, it's like you can wear that. You can probably wear that to work. To be honest with you.
Yeah, they would let you. They wouldn't accidentally send you to the wrong part of the station and say, "You're a uniform officer."
Your uniform. Get on the beat, Bobby.
Yeah. Anyway, they don't know where Kit is. Who's going to do the speech? Is it going to be Kirk? I'm again very glad they didn't do Kirk. Although to be fair, I think he probably could have done something quite sweet, couldn't he? And kind of naive and innocent and Kirky. But I think that to pay tribute to Craig, who was, definitely gone before his time, I think that Lisa, who ends up doing it, was the right choice.
I would also give props to Vicky Myers here, because I think that what happens a lot of the time is that the actors is just so good that they will just deliver a speech like, I'm going to do it I'm going to get rid of this paper and say it from my heart. And then they say something like really moving and touching. But she performed it like you would do in real life, in kind of a stilted sort of like, she kind of does it a bit by rote, doesn't she? She's like, she turns into official mode, and she just does a speech like most people you've ever seen do a speech. They don't sound like they're really talking to normally. There's kind of a formality and kind of a reservedness that she had on her when she was talking about him. And she also, it felt to me like she was also trying to remove herself mentally from thinking about him as a person too much, because she didn't want to cry.
No, and there was a bit where her voice cracks when she's talking about her admiration for officers like Craig. And
well, she's also really thinking about Becky too.
Yes, of course. I did like how she mentioned how much Craig liked biscuits. Just to
what would you want people to say at your funeral memorial? I would hate it if somebody went, "Oh, she loved her food, didn't she?" That's what killed her. She choked on a sausage. Yeah. After recording a podcast.
Yeah, there was that extra large coffin yesterday. I was just riffing on what you said. Sorry, darling.
You're scared now.
I know. I'm gonna be paying for that later. Anyway, she ends off by saying that it was an honour to know him, to call him my friend, my fellow officer, and he will never be forgotten. And then she raises a toast to him, and then she goes over to Carla and says that I'm so glad that you're here. That was quite touching, wasn't it? If I had to say, Carla, thanks for having my back during this. That was a really horrible thing to do.
Yeah, because probably the last time she went to a copper's funeral was Becky's. They don't die that often in duty, do they?
No, that's true. That's true.
The last time I wore these gloves.
I think that Lisa's a bit of a bad luck curse on Weatherfield Police Station. He's going to drop dead next. Maybe it is going to be Bostello.
Yeah, that's why Bostello was staring at her like, you better not get me next.
Yeah, I think, what the police officers there are like. They'll start arresting Lisa like they did with Eileen, thinking, I think that she's just trying to get a promotion. She's trying to get the DI. Anyway, Carla goes home, nearly catches Betsy rooting through this file that's got the, what she'd previously been told had the information about the sperm donor in there, and Betsy tries to make out like she's doing nothing and kind of hides it behind her back and says, I'm just helping Mum tidy up some folders. But Carla eyes the boxes as Betsy leaves and's like, I think she's up to something there. So Lisa comes home later on, and Carla gives her a kiss and a hug and says, you did really, really well today. Lisa spies the box out on the side, strides over to it, and she's like, I put this away earlier. What on earth is this doing out? Carla says, Betsy says she was just sorting through it or something. And Lisa's like, oh no, she's found the thing that I really didn't want her to find. And I was all the way through this, I was like, what is it? What could it be?
See, Carla here is like probably having like that, the cold sweats you have and that feeling of like sickness, and where your like throat like goes all the way to the bottom of your soles of your feet. She's thinking, this is the part of the relationship in a soap where we find out each other's dark secrets. I better hide the box of all my failed marriages and weddings and all the people that tried to kill me and my gambling problems and my alcohol. Oh my God. I shouldn't have really kept it, really. That seems a bit...
Carla, she's been on the streets so long, she's probably got a whole filing cabinet of them.
She just brings out...
She's upgraded her box.
She just brings out the 60th anniversary Coronation Street book and just whacks it on the table and goes, read that, baby.
So still at this point, I did think it was something to do with the donor. So when they came along and said, actually, it's something completely different, that kind of caught me off guard. So I just enjoyed being kept on my toes on Coronation Street, and then this episode definitely did that.
I want to know whether when they... Like, you know, there's a photo of Becky on Lisa's desk.
Yes.
With Betsy, I assume. Although there's another twist in the making.
What?
Is that baby Betsy? Is there another baby somewhere? Who knows?
I'm going to say no.
Well, it could be a picture of maybe Becky had a baby and that baby was taken by her parents when she died. Look, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I would say I think they would have mentioned it by now, but
they don't bring it up when they don't need to. But what I was saying, when they decided to put this picture of Becky in the show, did they think, is this an actress? Is this just like...
Yeah, one day we're going to need to have her in a flashback.
Are they going to... Is this person been cast? Is there a possibility that she will be in a flashback? I'm still rooting for her not being dead.
They've had photos of characters before and then had other characters play them.
Yeah, I know
and
they
realised
have.
That they
I know they have.
Are you expecting a flashback on this?
No. I wouldn't like them to now. They've already done one.
It's you got to be really careful because
you've got to use this sparingly.
Yeah, and you didn't enjoy the big flashback episode from a month ago, and I didn't mind it. But you can have too much of a
and it's the same
novel
set
thing.
Of characters. I know that Mick and Lou and Kit are not exactly the same, but they are as well because Kit and Lisa are connected. And
it's another flashback of a relatively new character.
Yeah.
And that was one of the complaints that people, including us, had about the first one, that it was people that we don't care enough about. But I suppose people do care
It's not like I didn't care about them. It was just like... I've said it already. I'm not going to go anymore.
But it has kind of... All of this has made me wonder, is there more to this than meets the eye? Because Lisa comes out to Carla.
Of course there is.
That's
the whole point.
She says, when Becky died, she was being investigated for corruption. She hadn't even told me about it. I found the letter when I was at work. And then, just for a second, wondered whether it was true. This then caused a massive argument between Becky and me. She went off in a huff, and that was the night that she died. So... massive tragedy here is that they didn't even get a chance to say a proper goodbye to each other.
Carla's like, that would have been a good episode.
That would have been. So, what did you think of this big revelation?
I mean, it is a bit of a cliche, isn't it?
It's a bit.
Oh,
yeah.
She didn't. Okay. I find it very intriguing that she didn't specify what the corruption was. She said something about she was always terrible with money, and I don't know if I missed something somewhere. I don't know how that can be linked. If you're an accountant, yes, you shouldn't be an accountant anyway if you're terrible with money. But I can see how being an accountant and being terrible with money would lead you to be investigated for corruption.
I think that she just used shop brand biscuits instead of McVitie's in the tin at the station.
You took £1.59 from the petty cash and you brought back Sainsbury's Own, which cost £1.29.
Where's that extra?
Where's the money gone?
What have you done with it, Becky?
I don't know, I'm bad with money. I'm bad with money.
Biscuits are a very serious game here at Weatherfield Police Station, Becky.
We're British police officers. We run on biscuits.
Yeah.
And tea. And where are the tea bags we sent you out to buy? I didn't have enough money left over. Let me write this down.
Yeah, There's got to be more. We're going to surely find out more about what was going on here because they can't dangle this in front of us and say, it doesn't really matter.
Now, I remember that the Warner Brothers, Logan and Matty, were involved in Becky's death and they supposedly ran her over and killed her. But they were also...
Or was it one of them? I don't remember now.
Weren't they on the way back from a robbery? Or is this... Is this connected to the air fryer robbery where they stole an air fryer and £500 worth of cash and a bunch of other stuff? Was Becky involved in this? And I'm just like,
Was she on the big Weatherfield air frying racket?
Well, was she bad with money in that she was supposed to put £500 in evidence, and then she went home and went, this £500 must be mine. Why would I have £500 in my pocket? That's good. I'll buy some shoes. What happened?
Well, it feels like from Friday's episode when Betsy and Lauren go to see Logan, which was a very unexpected returning character. I did not know that he was going to be back.
It's good to see him again.
It was good to see him again. He looked different,
He did.
Felt like. He looked like he was a bit more scrubbed up, actually.
He looked like a more chiselled, around the jaw Reece Dinsdale to me.
Oh yeah, you said that at the time, didn't you? I mean, obviously he doesn't stand up next to the massive return of Vin Diesel the Weasel, but who on earth could?
But 2 massive returns in 1 week. What an incredible time to be a Coronation Street fan.
So there's got to be something that's going on here, and I just love being intrigued by it. And like I said right at the beginning of the episode, this is definitely the most I've been intrigued by anything related to this story since it started.
All I'm going to say is they need to not drag this out, because this is what they do sometimes, and by the time it's revealed, we have guessed every possible iteration, like monkeys on a typewriter writing Shakespeare. You leave soap fans with a mystery for more than a couple of weeks. We've already guessed it. Somebody's guessed it somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't leave us waiting for too long.
No, tell us now. So Lisa tells Carla a little bit more about this, about how she went to sleep drunk that night. When she woke up, she was a widow.
You just brushed over that. That was an incredible line.
It was.
I know, but you're like, oh, she woke up a widow. No, she said,
Lisa,
I went to sleep and I woke up a widow. Yeah. And Costello had to tell me.
Oh yeah, Costello told her, didn't he?
And he was glaring at me again.
We learned that the allegations against Becky were dropped. That doesn't necessarily mean that she didn't get up to dirty business.
It could be the simple fact that there's no way to ascertain what happened now that the prime suspect's dead.
But Lisa did say that she kind of felt that the police didn't give Becky her proper send-off. Yeah, like
that's sad.
The top brass still did suspect that there was something iffy about her, and they said that there was COVID, we couldn't have a big funeral, but Lisa always thought that they held a bit of a grudge against her or didn't trust her.
I'm just going to say, as somebody who went to a funeral during COVID, I don't know how you could have done it any differently.
No, if it actually was during 2020...
You literally could... We couldn't even sit next to each other.
No. Anyway, so Lisa's worried now that Betsy has seen all of this, knows all about it, and Carla says that don't let this eat you up inside. Ask Betsy straight whether or not you read it. Kit finally appears later on, doesn't he? Lisa's back down at the station later on in the episode, and he kind of walks up to her, gets in the car. Did he get in the car? I can't remember, but I think so. Lisa basically has a massive go at him for leaving her in the lurch at the memorial earlier, and Kit's like, well, I barely knew Craig. Everything I wrote was a bit, and he kind of doesn't finish the sentence. He's just saying it's a bit.
He's just saying I literally didn't have the capacity to say anything.
It would feel a bit twee and cliche and not true, I suppose.
I think I feel the same. Like I don't feel like I'm capable of being sincere because I'm too calculated. I'm always thinking about what to say in the best possible way of saying it. And maybe Kit feels the same way. Like I would feel disingenuous, or like I feel like I was putting on a show. Like I'm too busy thinking about how to word this to be actually sincere about what, and it's not what was needed.
Yeah, for sure. So Betsy turns up at the station later, sits outside it on the bench with Lisa, and she says, look, Mum, found the envelope, didn't open it, it didn't feel right. Love having you as my mum, never hug. And I was like, oh, that's lovely from Betsy. She hasn't looked in it, and it's just going to remain a little bit of a mystery for longer, but it's brought them together. How lovely. But this is the big lie.
So Betsy's pretending that it was the donor that she was looking at, but she wasn't. She was looking at the other stuff.
She has actually opened it up, seen that there was this corruption allegation letter, but she's telling Lisa that she just held the envelope and didn't open it at all. Yeah. Just for a quiet life, I guess. So Lisa gets...
because she doesn't want Lisa to stop her from finding out what really happened.
Doing her own little investigation here. So Lisa gets home later. She's got a takeaway. She's really glad that she's had this chat with Betsy, and You told me to write down this line of Carla saying, if you're going to have an epitaph, normal, boring, or happy's a good one. What was it about that particularly stood out to you?
I don't remember.
Well, I've written it down, so congrats. Who wrote this? This was Jan McVerry that was writing this part of it, wasn't it? So, great line.
I can't remember what the context was. Wasn't it something to do with them saying we have a normal, boring, or happy life? Normal, boring, happy life. And I was like, what's wrong with that?
Can't remember everything.
Nobody on Coronation Street, except for the really unmemorable characters, is ever going to have that.
The episode ends with that great scene round the back of the Rovers between Betsy and Lauren, and I think I'm maybe starting to warm to the idea of Lauren at the pub.
Betsy and Lauren were like the blondest crime-fighting team of all time.
I think I'm enjoying how they're leaning into the friendship between Sydney and Kate. And although when Lauren was employed at the Rovers, I was like, oh, why on earth do they want a misery guts like her serving behind the bar? Actually, and we've not seen enough of it to judge for sure at the moment, I'm thinking maybe this is what Lauren needs, because we know that Kate Fitton can be very smiley and yeah, exactly. And maybe that will... just literally having this job, having Glenda as a bit of a role model and a mentor, maybe this will bring her out of this funk that she's been in for the past couple of years. And although we saw the scene, was it this week? I think it was, when Lauren was pouring the beers and they were just all head, very cliche, but wow, how else can you do it?
Well, have you tried pouring a beer?
No, I have not. Yeah, she was still a bit kind of mardy there, but I thought that the way that they kind of dressed her and glammed her up in her barmaid's gear...
I don't remember what she looked like as a barmaid.
It's the fact that she wasn't wearing that bloody red tracksuit, which she seems to wear all the time. Glammed up, I was like, oh, I think I could quite like the character of Lauren. And I did really enjoy the character of Lauren when she first started, when she was all part of... the gang, Griff and Reese's gang. I thought she was great for Max, but they've just turned her life into utter misery ever since then, and all she's done about it is cry. But yeah, I think maybe she could have potential as a barmaid.
A thing I really like about Lauren is, and I think kids in general are kind of quite funny to me because they all like 90s clothes. They seem to.
But it was the best decade.
Well, not for fashion.
I still wear my 90s stuff. I don't think my sense of fashion has not changed in the past 30 years.
Well,
Jeans and a
t-shirt,
it'll do for me.
Sorry, but you don't. It's very liberating. It's very liberating. You should embrace it. I love how she channels Sporty Spice.
She does a bit, doesn't she?
Lauren's wardrobe is just Sporty Spice.
It is basically a bit of Melanie C. Yeah.
And I kind of like that. I kind of like that really sporty kind of... like veering into slightly masculine look for a teenage girl. I don't think many... Because she's trendy and sexy still, but she's not wearing like revealing like booby clothes all the time. I think that's really cool.
Well, I preferred her in her revealing booby clothes that she was wearing behind the bar.
Don't be a pervert. She wasn't wearing booby clothes, was she? I thought she was wearing a halter top.
It was a halter top, it was.
Stop being weird.
You're the one that said booby clothes.
I'm a woman.
You're allowed to say that, are you?
I'm not sexualising her.
I'm just saying.
She's a teenager, isn't she?
All I wanted to say was that I enjoyed Lauren behind the bar and I surprised myself by it. Being glamorous and sparkly.
She wasn't booby.
She wasn't booby at all.
She had a headband on.
She did.
You can't be booby and have a headband.
Anyway, so Betsy comes into the pub. I really like the shot where they're getting their heads together by the what is it, the hot plate or whatever, and they're glowing up red. That was quite a nice look.
There's definitely potential for these two as like partners in crime.
There is. I think
some capers.
Yeah, I think they are rife for capering. I didn't enjoy when they stole Tracy's van the other month and crashed it. That didn't work out so well, but they've clearly got some good chemistry going on there as friends. Heaven forbid that Corrie does anything with friends on Corrie. On the programme, but it looks like they're going down that route.
We all keep saying that, but Corrie's doing really well.
They're doing better this year with friendships. But anyway, they go out the back and Betsy reveals to Lauren, actually, I did look inside this, and I'm watching it going, what's she found out then? And she says, I found that my mum was in a lot of bother before she died. What on earth could have been going on? I suspect that there is foul play afoot here. Maybe she was up to her neck in something. Maybe when she was run over, it was some kind of revenge killing.
Or cover up in some way.
Yeah, she says, something doesn't feel right here, and I think that we need to go on the investigation. I think...
what could it be? Maybe Becky was involved with Logan and Matty as some kind of... Maybe she tipped them off for where to rob. And they fell out with each other, and then they ran her over so that she would never reveal their secrets.
Maybe they were moles to her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It doesn't really make sense to cover up the crime of stealing by murdering somebody. But I assume they didn't think they were going to get caught.
That's usually,
That's usually the plan with a criminal.
You hedge your bets a bit, don't you? Anyway, so Lauren says to Betsy that you just need to ask your mum straight, but Betsy's like, no way. That's not an interesting soap story.
You help me.
Let's go undercover. Let's do it secretly. And that's what they get up to on Friday when they go to the prison to see Logan.
Yeah.
He doesn't really help them with much, does he?
No, he's
just kind of there being smarmy and in their faces.
Superior.
Tries to get them to give him a load of money so that he will tell them
says,
nothing.
I've got a trust fund.
Yeah, and he doesn't. Although he doesn't believe that, does he?
No, I wouldn't believe anyone who told me they had a trust fund.
Are you expecting that I'm still kind of jumping about a little bit. Sorry. Are you expecting that they will be paying him another visit at some point soon?
Yeah.
Someone's got to sit on the table that's only reserved for Coronation Street characters, right in the middle of that room there.
Yeah, this is a celebrity suite.
Yeah. So Friday's episode, apart from that little encounter with Logan, starts off with Carter and Lisa looking at houses online, and it just ties into the rumours and theories that they're going to be getting number 6 Coronation Street, which is quite funny in a way, because one of them says, as Carla says, I want to own this little flat in this middle of the city. I think it'd be brilliant for shops, brilliant view. And Lisa, on the other hand, is preferring the idea of getting a nice place in the country somehow.
I'd love that.
But actually, what they go for, presumably, is number 6. They just go...
That's perfect.
Neither of them are happy.
It's a compromise.
Do you want to tell me... I know you're
really
gagging
quick
to tell us the story about your investigation of your own this morning here related to this house.
Well, when I went on Twitter this morning and I saw somebody had posted a picture of Lisa looking online at this cottage that she wanted to buy. And I was like, oh, that looks so cool. I wonder what it's a picture of. This cottage was £795,000.
Yes.
So I went on, basically it's a kind of a boring story. I went online and I reverse image searched it, and it was used all over the place for stock pictures for like anything from a newsletter about some county and to people doing renovations.
Yeah.
I kept digging and digging, and then I found this German couple had gone on holiday and they'd uploaded a bunch of pictures, and one of them was a picture of them standing in front of this house. And then I clicked on that picture, and then I found another picture of a French car parking website about the fact there was a car park nearby there. So I was like, is this famous or something? And in the file title of this German family's holiday pictures was for the latte.
Yeah, something like that.
And so I googled that, and this house is literally on the road to this big castle that they built in northern France.
It's amazing. So I don't think they're going to be buying this house
in Brittany,
because it's a little bit too much of a location.
It's about 8 hours from here. So it's a bit too far for commuting.
But, if you're going on your Swala pilgrimage all around, then this is definitely a nice little place to stop over.
I genuinely want to go to this place because we were talking about going to France.
I know we were. That would be quite fun.
It's not that far away from us actually.
No.
Really, you can get it's in San Malo, so you can get you could go on a very expensive ferry from Portsmouth.
But you also found that one of the pictures that was on the website that Lisa was looking at was an AI generated image of a kitchen or something.
It was like AI render of cottage core with sleeping cats. If you look at the picture on the right hand side underneath the window is like a black and white blob, but that's a cat in the actual picture.
Well, all of this behind the scenes, thanks to Gemma's investigation. I think they need to get you down to the Weatherfield police station.
Yeah, I'm an investigator.
You could be Costello's replacement.
Anyway, I would live there with her.
They're not agreeing about what sort of place they'd like to move to, but they are agreeing that the flat's too big for them. What?
Too small.
Too small for them, sorry. And still no mention of the cat. Still no mention of their own flat, and when... it's just nuts. It's absolutely bonkers.
I really do. I'm finding it intriguing that the fact that this has not been brought up at all that she only moved in because her flat was flooded.
Maybe there's some kind of corruption, some kind of bent copper activity going on there, like Lisa's loaning her flat out to some
cuckooing. Maybe there's cuckooing going on.
Yeah, maybe there is. Yeah. Maybe there is.
County lines. We know that one, don't we?
We know all about county lines, thanks to lovely Harvey and Simon. So, we have the prison scenes. I've already said a little bit about that. But Steve tells Lisa and Carla that he dropped, or somebody from Streetcars, one of their many that they have
fleet.
on the fleet apparently, one of the 1,000 drivers they got there, dropped them off at the police station, at the prison earlier, which raises a few eyebrows. So Logan is basically not telling anything to Betsy, but he's enjoying toying with her, and that's about as far as we get with it. So when Betsy gets home, she tells Lisa and Carla where she's been and what she went there for, and Lisa says, "You had no business whatsoever going behind my back. You gone to the prison on your own." And Betsy says, "Well, there's no point talking to you about it. All you ever do is lie to me. Keep secrets from me. Why should I have told you?" Besides, I didn't get anything out of Logan. Lisa says, "Look, I promise there's nothing secret going on here," but Betsy doesn't buy it. I've just got a feeling that probably there isn't anything going on. I think there's literally nothing to find here, but Betsy's going to get herself in trouble trying to find out nothing. You know, she's going to do her digging, get herself into trouble with the criminal underworld of Weatherfield, all for naught. And it turns out that Becky was indeed a saint, and that's all there is to it. So anyway, Carla later on in the evening kind of nudges Lisa to go and sit with her daughter and try and make amends, and she dutifully does and assures Betsy there's really no cover-up over her mum's death. Also, no more secrets, that classic soap phrase of doom, which means there surely will be more secrets to come. But at least Carla does reveal one thing to Betsy at the end of the episode, which is that they're thinking of buying a house together. And Betsy quite likes the idea, actually, and they kind of bundled together on the sofa to look at places online, and it was a pleasant end to a very, very tempestuous week for Carla and Lisa.
It was a domestic scene of bliss, like in Little Women, when they all gather around the fire.
Yes, exactly.
I thought they were a bit mean, though, because they were looking at houses, obviously, and Carla was like, "Oh, look at that could be a bedroom." Betsy, you, I'm afraid, are a Coronation Street teen. You will be relegated to a box room.
Yeah, that's all you're going to get. Sorry, love.
Yeah. You're not getting a fancy ensuite or a room that's big enough to put an armchair in.
No way. Right, that was loads for that story, and like I said, we had more of Lou, although Lou was a little bit in that one. But do you want to move on to the Maria story and this growing spat between the two mums, and is Gary going to have an affair with Lou?
I don't know.
What? I clearly don't want him to.
Right.
So I think that Gary and Maria do actually make for a pretty solid couple.
Yeah.
They're not the most exciting or engaging.
Neither are we.
Yeah, they're not like got sizzling chemistry or anything like that. But I think
you make it work somehow, don't you?
I think that they make it work. You know, they've taken their vows. They've shown everyone their rings.
It's too late now.
I think they need to stay the course.
Yeah.
And
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Got in it till one of us dies.
Gary, to me, and people are probably going to pull me up on this one as well, doesn't seem like the cheaty type. At least at the moment, he might have cheated in the past. I can't remember.
We've all seen him dancing around in spandex. He's got no way of cheating on anybody. I think Lou's mad.
I think that Gary has become a pretty honourable family man.
Yeah. I
understand that Maria, who has been cheated on by men in the past and has done her fair share of cheating as well, maybe that it might go to explain why she is suspicious of Gary and Lou, but I think an honourable
man and a stable marriage is catmint to writers of soaps.
Yeah, but I hope that they don't go down the obvious path, especially with what's going on with Abby and Carl at the moment. They don't need to split up another
forbidden love,
another couple. So I don't think they will.
Well.
I don't think they will.
I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Lou will pretend that there's something going on between them. Because Lou definitely is a slippery customer. And although I really like her, I don't think she's above lying about her having it off with Gary to make Maria upset.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the fact that she was going to steal that money today shows that they're definitely not adverse to showing that she's got a dodgy side
Characters
to her.
like that are way more interesting than the goody two-shoes ones who would never do anything wrong.
Yeah. Do you want to run down what's been going on there this week then? And as I say, I'm very sorry if there's notes that are not here that they should be, but we'll figure it out as we go.
Well, on Monday, Lou's trying to flog Gary's Mick's van and telling Gary about it because she's got money troubles and she needs to shift it. Mm-hmm. And then Maria shows up and she's bickering with David. He wants to make furniture up for the house and wants time off, and she's not very happy about it. And he asks Lou to do his shift for him, and she says she'll do it for time and a half. Honestly, I'd pay her to put the furniture together. Use your brain, David. So Luke turns up at the salon and Maria's not pleased to see her. She didn't know this was going to happen. And Mrs. Morrison turns up.
Oh yeah, this is a particularly difficult customer.
Yeah, and Maria's like,
gave her a line.
You can do that. Get it right for once. So David's building the furniture, and
I think this was this one of the first scenes, or maybe this was the first scene that we got in the New Look number 8.
New Look number 8 with its burnt orange cushions.
Yeah.
Maria is banging on about Lou, and she's like, "You fed up with her. She's rubbish, and she's a loose cannon. You don't trust her."
Well, David's fed up with her going on about how terrible Lou is.
Well, I think everyone's getting fed up with Maria banging on about it.
She has been a bit of a bitch.
She's got to be in her bonnet.
Do you think it? I don't know whether it's in character. I'm kind of enjoying it, and I'm liking the drama and the arguments and the tension that it's causing, but.
I kind of admire her for how openly hostile she's being. I don't think I've ever been that rude to anybody in my life, but there's definitely people I wish I could have put in their place like she does to me.
I could see.
She just treats her with absolute contempt, doesn't she?
Yeah, but I could see this from somebody like Tracy or Leanne. Maria, to me, feels a lot more kind of docile, and she's had, in the past, a little bit more of a spikier side, but she's a counsellor
has
now.
Changed her. Maybe it's made her more imperious.
Maybe, I don't know. Is she still a counsellor? I literally don't know. It's not been brought up at all in the dialogue.
She did go on about it when she was one, which makes me think she might have lost an election quietly somewhere.
Maybe she has, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not completely buying that. Everyone else seems to understand just because Lou married a murderer, it doesn't make her one herself or the worst criminal there is. And I just would have thought Maria would be more understanding.
But do you not think that she has a bit of a point here? Because I love Lou, and I think that she's got a load of potential, but genuinely, would you really want her around you as she is now? Because she is a bit of a thief, she's a liar, she's delusional about her husband, she's in denial.
I would just think that Maria might take the opportunity as a counsellor to say, maybe I can steer my constituents to the path of lightness.
Maybe she's not patronising like we are. Maybe she's like, no, she's once a scumbag, always a scumbag. I'm not Mother Teresa.
Anyway, what?
Wednesday, Lou sees Gary and says, look, don't tell Maria I'm in here. I'm supposed to be in the salon. I also put my foot in it because I forgot that Kirk was the stepson of
the stepfather of
Craig, and all the awkwardness with the fact that he was murdered by my husband.
This is when he tells her, look, you need to pick a side here, because either you're against your husband and you're on the same side as everyone else, and if you want to fit into the community, you really need to drop Mick.
What you need
like
to do
a sack of potatoes
is decide whether you think Mick's gonna make it through the trial or not.
Right. Or if you're going to stay with Mick, then you have it. So yeah, pick a side here. Yeah. Do you think that Gary is playing a bit of too much of a dangerous game by engaging with Lou quite so much as he is?
I don't get what the fascination with being Lou's knight in shining armour is for Gary particularly.
He's had...
Lou's got
Maybe it's all part of him trying to redeem himself in his own mind because he still feels so guilty about everything that happened, however long ago it was, 6-7 years ago, when he turned into a bit of a villain.
It is really interesting how Lou has managed to wrap Tim and Gary around her little finger a little bit with being the damsel in distress here and getting them to help her out.
But you talk as if she's not genuinely a victim of some horrific domestic violence, which she is.
How dare you accuse me of that? I'm not. No, I mean, like, she still has not decided about her opinion on Mick, has she?
No.
I
she
don't
knows
know what she really thinks about whether she thinks he did it or not.
I think that she thinks that he did, yeah. But he's got her so round his finger. He's been coercively controlling her into thinking that you have got to be loyal to me.
I don't know if I don't know enough about it to say it's coercive control. It's definitely domestic violence.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're always together.
They were all over each other when they were alive, weren't they?
Who's alive?
Sorry, not alive. When he was out of prison beforehand, I mean. I'm saying all the wrong
It's
words
really
today.
complicated. It's a really complicated situation. I just think it's very interesting that Gary and Tim are falling over themselves to help her, and the women are like a bit more, you know, okay, I could take her or leave her. But I think the only person who really does like her is Shona. Because obviously Julia Goulding and
Farrell Hegarty are best mates in real life.
It was really funny watching them at the barbecue.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I was going to say that. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I suppose it's interesting because Lou clearly is a very strong, forthright, kind of in your face sort of character, and this does go to show that just because you're like that, it doesn't mean that you can't be blinded by love by the wrong man.
Also, I think it's telling that Shona's the one who really likes her the most, because Shona just brushes off insults and doesn't really take much. Like, Lou's really blunt and she keeps blundering into things, and also I think that she takes offence quickly but then kind of forgives you, and I think that that's the perfect person for to be Shona's friend.
They're so good together, those two.
I love them together.
I really hope they develop that friendship more.
But I also don't understand. Lou's like a moth to the flame of Coronation Street. Why does she keep trying to be friends with everybody? She should just move. Like, in real life, this would not work, would it?
But you can't just move at a drop of a hat like that.
Yes,
you just
can.
moved in. You moved all your stuff in.
I know, but that's what they do, this family. If you're going to move at the drop of a hat for any reason, do you not think the fact that your husband murdered a really beloved member of the community that you're trying to befriend would be a great...
I just get the impression that
reason.
Lou's tired of running and she's found a community of people who are generally decent folk who care for each other and look out for each other. And maybe, you know, if she's been used to going from council house to council house, or she's lived in flats or you know, dodgy estates, she thinks I could make a proper life for myself here. I could turn a corner, and that's why she's determined to make it work.
This is a bit of an interesting conversation, because I'm taking all the wrong perspectives, and you're being the reasonable, nice one.
Yeah, I just yeah.
You really like Lou.
I do really.
I also really like Lou. I've known too many people like her in real life to completely trust her. I'm really interested to see how she turns out.
Yeah.
I can really imagine her being a long-term character who fits in really well.
Yeah, she's totally got that kind of Corrie DNA in her.
She's also got a different sort of personality than anyone else on the street.
You're right. I mean, she's close-ish to Shona, but not really.
She's a bit like a mix between Shona and Tracy.
Yeah.
In that she could be, honestly, she's capable of anything, I think. I don't know what she would do.
Yeah, she is a very much a loose cannon, isn't she?
She's a bit of a Kylie, a bit of a Becky. A bit of wrong side of the tracks kind of a person who's still got a good heart.
Yeah,
I think she's brilliant.
I think she... I'm not... I think that her kids kind of hold her back.
I know, get rid of
I'm
them.
afraid to say. But, you know, if they palm Joni and Shanice off on the Met cards, who are clearly happy to have them, and Brody's, he's old enough to look after himself. I just want Lou. I don't need the baggage that comes with it particularly. Sorry, kids.
Sorry, children. I don't know. It would be a very difficult prospect. A lot of people would never forgive a mother, for choosing that, you know, to let her children be fostered, which is really unfair because there are so many reasons why it would make sense.
Yeah, I at the moment can't see why.
There's no reason why she would do it now.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
I'm waiting for the penny to drop on what exactly. I'm convinced that they're going to end up fostering these kids. but I don't know why.
But it could just, like they've said, like at the moment they're saying this is good practice for us, isn't it, Sally and Tim?
You've already had practice. You've had children already. What are you practicing on?
But not properly together.
All right. Then.
Anyway, sorry, back to where we were.
Right, so they're talking about Craig in the
bistro.
In the bistro, and Lou comes in and she's drinking free wine, and Maria has a go at her and says, you know, you and your murdering husband are not welcome here. And Lou says, I just want to pay my respects, but Maria's not having it, and she's even more disgusted because obviously her brother is devastated, Kirk is devastated, and she can see the effect it's having on him.
I think it probably was a bad move for Lou to go there.
This is what I mean.
This is after Gary had said to her, you need to choose your side.
And she took that a bit too literally.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Don't go to the memorial and don't go to the barbecue. Those were two really bad moves.
But you can tell that it's coming from a good place and a place of kind of desperation to have friends and fit in with the community.
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing that I could see Abby doing. I think
I was thinking of our cat.
No,
I was like,
the
she would like a barbecue.
Because she was her own worst enemy, or she is her own worst enemy sometimes, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ask Carl Webster all about that. I could see Abby and Lou making a really good partnership as well.
Yeah.
Abby, Lou, and Shona.
They're a bit too similar.
Well, so what? That's why they might be.
No, but you need a bit. No, but on the TV, you need people to be a bit different, don't you? So they can be a gog at each other's antics. So, Gary talks to Lou and says maybe this is not the best place to pick your side, and she heads off and she puts some money in Craig's collection tin to make a big point of the fact that she wasn't there for the free booze. Amira's not very happy about this. Then she goes and visits Mick, so she still hasn't picked a side, and he can't believe that she went to this memorial and says, "You're selling me down the river, I can't believe it." And she says, "Look, we've got to live there, me and the kids, I can't carry on backing you after what you did." And she says, your sentence is our sentence, and the only person on the street who treats me like a human being is Gary Windass. So I think I'm going to shag him.
Do you think that Mick, is this going to be yet another story of a prisoner sending goons or henchmen in the outside world to go and rough people up?
Yeah.
Because I don't need to see that.
I'm fed up with prisoners in general on this show.
I don't know when Mick's trial's supposed to be.
Hurry up with it.
I am really ready for him just to do one now.
I know.
I don't
not. Get out.
Lose
or
better without
get
him.
Lost.
And as an actual person, she's better without him. As a character, she's better without him. And the guy who played Mick is doing a really good job of being a despicable person.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be sad if that
I
was
feel
the
like his
last we saw of
character
him.
is played out now.
Yeah.
He's in prison. He did it. What's there to say?
He's had his arc, and now it's been a springboard, hopefully, for Lou to get up to some exciting antics. But she's always got the lingering shadow of the husband in jail. In the same way, that's another thing that her and Shona have got in common, isn't it? Because Shona's got Clayton in prison for murder.
Why not have a reunion?
Yeah. They could just hitch a lift to
Is there
Highfield
not
together.
a mother, like a family picnic for felons in Weatherfield?
Yeah,
They could that'd be a really great scene. Everyone would be there. And Max would be crying in Aberdeen or wherever he is. Right, so she says, he's now going, oh, you're going to have an affair with Gary Windass. And she says, I'm going to do what it takes to survive and you're going to have to suck it up. This is when I think that she kind of decided to put designs on Gary. Maybe she thinks that if she gets her claws in him, he will facilitate her rehabilitation in the community.
Maybe.
Don't know.
Maybe.
So she's also, Gary at this point has decided to buy the van off of Lou to give her some help. And then Lou texts him and says, grateful we get to kiss our kids tonight. Thanks for having our back. Kiss, kiss, kiss. And he deletes this message immediately. Like, oh my God, she got another hidden camera in here. I can't be doing this. So Lou listens to Maria and Shona on Friday talking about their barbecue that they're going to have. Also, Liam's got a GCSE that no one cares about that day. Chemistry.
He appears at the end of the episode, doesn't he, to overhear Gary and Maria arguing.
How did it go, Liam?
Nobody asked how his GCSE went. I loved this barbecue. I thought everything about it was brilliant. Like you said earlier, this community scene. I mean, it was only, 3 families together, but it felt...
I liked it.
Like a very rare thing.
Yeah.
For
lots
couples to get together and just have dinner.
Weird.
It was proper. That was proper classic Corrie.
What a weird thing to do.
And it was characters, all of whom I care about.
Yeah, I know. I really like this lot.
Which helps.
Good solid bunch of chums aren't they?
They were. They've got a combined total.
They've got so much history.
Yeah.
Those characters are like combined years on Coronation Street, probably longer than William Roach has been alive.
Yeah. Even like David was like putting faces at Toya and making fun of her, and they never have scenes together.
No, they don't.
They?
It's funny.
Yeah.
Right, so
with his charcoal grilled courgettes.
Lou is kind of pointing out that Gary's being nicer to her than Maria is. Then she goes to work at the salon and she's watching Audrey stuffing this envelope with cash, trying to fob it off on everybody because she wants David to take it to the bank, but he won't. And then she asks Shona and she won't. But then Lou says, "I'll do it," but Audrey says, "No, you take it," and gives it to Shona to take to David to take it.
This was all a bit long-winded, and this bag of cash never even made its way to the bank in the end, did it?
No, they were very blasé about a massive wad of cash.
I think there was a little bit too much build-up here.
Audrey listens to Lou saying, this is really hard to fit in. And she's like, well, I thought this was an interesting scene because Audrey's going... The scene where Audrey is talking to Lou about how difficult, people are going to be wary of you because your husband was a murderer, not really thinking to the fact that her son was a serial killer and she spent weeks moaning at everybody for being horrible about him after he died.
Well, also, she's got first-hand experience with her own daughter who married a murderer.
Yeah, I know.
A few people were a bit, raised their eyebrows at Gail after this.
She didn't bring up any of it.
No.
Like, yeah, my daughter married a serial killer. My son was a serial killer. I know probably now how you feel. It's a bit awkward. You just get over it.
What's that? Your husband's only killed one person? Come back when he's got a few more on the
boring
few
murderer.
more notches on the baseball bat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that I thought that was a very weird blank space in the interaction.
It was still a really nice performance from Sue Nichols though, and
I liked seeing her today.
Having her there as the kind of the calming dispenser of advice was
well, she says, Lou starts to nearly cry thinking about the fact she might have to move again, and Audrey's like, I can't remember what Audrey says, but she basically tells Shona she's not coming to the barbecue because she's got farewell drinks at Grasmere Drive.
Yeah, I think any hope that we're going to see Grasmere Drive again went out the window in today's episode.
Yeah,
she's moved into number 8 and that's where she's staying.
Nick and Toya come to the barbecue. Everyone's been invited to the barbecue. They're looking at the new decorations.
I can't remember what the reason was. They said that Leanne couldn't make it. Do you remember?
She's too mad about something.
Some kind of excuse.
She really didn't want to go because Toya was going.
Jane Danson was just not free that day.
Jane Danson's got shopping to do. They had they mentioned the fact that David really likes this coffee table and everyone's making fun of him about how precious he is about it.
His glass coffee table.
Because first of all, I thought this must be an Argos product placement because of how much David likes it. But then when they started making fun of him for liking it, I was like, this cannot be product placement. And then later on, I thought, this is definitely not product placement.
No. I loved it when Shona was putting the cups down on it and Dave was like, no, don't do put coasters down. And they're like, it's a table, you're supposed to put things on it. And then she does the thing where she lick her finger and then wipes it on the table. Such a stir.
I couldn't be having any high maintenance furniture in my house. I was just thinking about how annoying it would be to dust it.
Yes, we have got the cheapest of the cheap coffee tables in our front lounge, haven't we? We've got IKEA cheapo range.
Yeah, no, but we need to get rid of it because it's terrible. It just chips and stains. It's awful.
Yeah, but nobody's going to fall through it, are they, and end up in A&E?
No, I don't think so. So, who goes to the barbecue? Gary, Maria?
Yeah, it's just Gary, Maria, Nick, Toya, David and Shona.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. So, but then Lou wanders in because she had swiped Shona's phone from the salon and she gives the excuse that she's given it back to her.
Yeah, as a way to get herself invited again to try and just ingratiate herself to the group and become one of them. And also get her hands on the cash.
Yes. I don't know whether she was there for the friendship or the money.
I think it's probably easier for her if she is friends with Maria in the salon. Because every day she turns up to work and Maria's just there sneering at her. Yeah. I would try and...
I wouldn't like to work
I'd either
Maria
quit
like
or try and rebuild some bridges here.
Right, so Lou notices that Shona's still got this money that she's waving around because she and David are bickering about taking it to the bank. Then Gary comes up with a barbecue with the Vin Diesel and telling him that he looked after him all this time. David's really chuffed. And then when Gary starts chatting with Lou, Maria gets really jealous and sort of jumps in front of them.
Do you think that Gary should probably ease off Lou? Because Maria has clearly got a problem with it. And it feels like it's probably the respectful thing to do to your wife, that
you don't talk to somebody.
Yeah, don't engage.
The mature thing also would be to realise that part of the reason why Maria is giving Lou such a hard time is because she doesn't want you talking to her, and maybe Lou would fit in better and have a smoother life if you just backed off of her and let her make friends with someone else.
Yeah, I think Gary clearly thinks that Maria's overreacting here.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't think either of us think that Maria is right to do this, and that you should always, the moral thing to do is not to bow down to someone else's bad behaviour and ostracise somebody for something that's outside of their control. But you've also got to be a bit practical.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So Lou slopes off while Toya and Shona are bickering about Leanne, and she looks all over the place and finds this money envelope in Shona's bag just as Maria walks in and catches her. Then they have a kerfuffle and Maria starts grabbing her, trying to see if she's stolen anything. And then the next thing we see, Lou's on her bum, cut to ribbons, and the tables smashed all over the place.
But we didn't get to see exactly what happened.
We do find out because Maria
we do
confesses.
find out. I was wondering whether they were going to be stringing this out for longer, or did she push her or not? Because Maria immediately lies about it, doesn't she? And says she was the other side of the room.
Fibber.
But then you also saw when Lou was there on her bum, she said, "You pushed me," and Maria genuinely seemed to be like, "What? No, I didn't."
Yeah, I didn't know who to believe at first.
No, I didn't either.
I thought this was really good.
So did I. I wondered whether it was going to go down the route of Maria is insisting that one thing happened when really it didn't, and that Lou. Go on.
No, go on.
No, I don't know what was
because Lou's the newcomer and she's untrustworthy, and she's got a reason to turn everyone against Maria. But Maria also, and we've not seen Maria lie about anything like this before.
Maria has had her nutty moments.
Yeah, she's definitely become unhinged at certain points. Like just like a lion was a bit strange, but
stalking Tyrone.
Yeah, that was the least of it. Yeah, but Maria, you generally would trust Maria over Lou.
I think you would these days, but Maria really does seem to be wound up by her. It wouldn't have surprised me if she did it on purpose.
Okay,
and
I
also,
think she did.
Would Lou have thrown herself onto a glass table just to try and get Gary to turn against his wife? That's really
psychotic.
Yeah.
I loved that moment of not really knowing which one to trust. I thought that was really clever and really interesting. And it was kind of like the most low stakes Agatha Christie I've ever watched. So Maria's like, look, Lou was trying to steal the money. But everyone's like, well, why did you throw in a table? Because Lou still keeps going. And she pushed me into it. Why would I fall into a table? It doesn't make any sense. Shona looks at the envelope and is like, well, the money's still here. And so everyone says, oh, we should take her to the... Well, Gary says, I'll take her to the hospital. Meanwhile, Nick is in the background, loving life. I've never seen him happier. He was grinning from ear to ear.
He loved the drama. It's like a drama that has nothing to do with me.
Maria is trying to explain to everybody how dodgy and untrustworthy Lou is. And by this point, Audrey's rocked up from her party. And she's saying, are you sure? Are you sure? And Maria's like, no, okay, well, maybe I grabbed her arm, but she tripped. I didn't push her. She just fell into the chair, into the table. It wasn't my fault. So we're starting to get a bit more of the truth. Not completely yet. Gary and Lou are at the hospital, and he's trying to talk her down from getting the police involved, and says, I'll deal with that. Let me talk to Maria. And Lou's like, oh, I'm so grateful. And then Gary says the worst thing possible, which is that me and Maria are on the rocks at the moment. And Lou's like, oh, listen, if you need anything. And then she puts her hand on his arm, and he kind of gets a bit uncomfortable and leaves.
Yeah, that whole thing with him saying that they're on the rocks, I know we had seen it, but it did make me like, it's a bit of a Stephen Tracy kind of planting the seeds, isn't it? Like,
all along, it's been my passion to be on the rocks with Maria.
Just keep them together. Just keep any couple together, Coronation Street. It can't just be Sally and Tim flying the flag for long-term relationships here.
I'll tell you what, though, if anyone was going to fly a flag for monogamy, definitely Sally would find the day of the year that was that. wouldn't she?
Yeah.
All right, later on, David pops around Maria's flat to find out she's all right, and she's like, "Sorry about your amazing table."
David's reaction to the table being broken was priceless, because he's Lou's there, kind of, as you say, cut to ribbons, and David's just
rushes in. He's like, "What? What did you do that for?"
Yeah, and somebody's like, "It's almost like you care more about your table than you do Lou," and he's like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah, I love that. And also, that was Barry Keoghan's coffee table.
Oh yes,
yeah. The guy from Saltburn.
Yes, that was some great performance by Jack V. Shepherd, though. That was proper classic David.
I loved all that. Just everyone being classic and sniping and
it felt
silly.
It wasn't unrealistic. I know it was kind of heightened soap stuff, somebody falling backwards through a glass table, but it didn't feel so out there and unrelatable to
God.
And no, it didn't. It felt like, oh yeah, we've had parties with our mates sometimes that have gone a bit wrong. I'm not me. We don't have parties.
We don't have parties that go wrong.
No, I know, but yeah.
We don't have parties anyway. We just have board games.
It felt like a genuine thing that might happen between friends.
Yeah, you can imagine this happening.
It. Yes.
Apart from the whole, her husband's a murderer and all the rest of it.
Well, obviously.
So yeah, Maria's like, "Sorry about the table," and he says, "Why are you letting Lou get under your skin?" And she's like, "I just really hate her." And David accuses her of being a snob. This is when Gary gets home and says, "You know what? You're lucky that Lou's not pressing charges on you." And so Maria confesses to him about this argument that she had with Lou, and Gary thinks that she should just apologise to her, and he's starting to believe Lou's story a bit more than Maria's.
Yeah, he's very mistrusting of his wife, isn't he? They basically get into another argument about the fact that Maria thinks that Gary believes Lou and not her, and then she accuses him of fancying her, and he denies it. So she goes and ends up at the pub with Sarah, moaning about Lou again, just as the police turn up to arrest her for actual bodily harm. Oh gosh, I
didn't need this escalation.
No.
I guess they've got to do something, haven't they? It was the cliffhanger at the end of Friday's episode.
Somebody being arrested.
It doesn't feel like anything will come of it.
No, I think she'll be walking free and just even more mad at Lou by Monday.
Well, no, Lou is going to dangle this over her head. Lou's going to go, "I've changed my mind," and then she's going to lord it over Maria. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, having someone being arrested as the end of episode cliffhanger, it either makes you go, "Why have you put this at the end of the episode? I really just want to know now what happened," or it makes you think, "Oh, it's going to be fine," because people are always being arrested for one thing or another, interviewed and then let free. So I think this is going to be one of those situations.
I think Lisa's going to do it.
Probably will.
She's like, "What has happened now?"
Probably will. Although, with Kit's history with Lou, would it be more interesting if he was the one interviewing Maria?
Yeah, do you think he'd get annoyed with Maria and throw the book at her?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
It's the mother of my child you've beaten up.
Okay, look, let's move on. We really seem like we're overrunning. I know we had a big long start to the episode when you were talking about your website, but we've had some good stories this week. I feel that the escapades at number 11 were a bit of a weak link. And they're characters that in the whole I like, especially Todd, and I find Millie quite an interesting character, but I can't deny that every time that a scene in this story came up, I was mostly going, "Oh, get back to the other stories."
These do not feel to me like grown men. The way that Todd and Theo are acting, they're being so naive. I can't understand why Todd is confused over whether Theo would choose to spend time with his family over this boyfriend that he's known for
Yeah, Todd
3
is
months.
being very weirdly possessive about it.
He's being very immature, and it's kind of a bad reflection on his character. But I guess the thing is, because of I think that Gareth Pierce's Todd has felt like a different person to me than the original Todd. So original Todd I can definitely see being possessive and weird like this, but I thought that new Todd was a bit more mature.
Yeah,
and a bit more emotionally literate, whereas this Todd is just like throwing his toys out the pram. And it's just really off-putting as well. It makes me not like him very much.
It's not a good look for him. You're right. So there's not I do like Todd, but this isn't.
And Theo, I never liked him, and nothing he's done has changed my mind.
They just really. I think it feels like they made a mistake with having him be a cheater, and I know that they can give all the backstory they want and talk about his conversion therapy, but he didn't come in with the best of...
They still never accounted for why he was on that dating app.
No. And so I don't particularly care too much about their relationship, so when he's going back to his daughter this week, it's like, oh, so what, whatever. But I think we can probably get through this fairly quickly by covering the main points of it, which is Millie shows up at the front door yet again at number 11, and Todd overhears her making an urgent phone call.
About an appointment.
About an appointment that she's got to make, exactly. And she tells him, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. And again, going back to what you said earlier about, is she actually pregnant or is she making it up? I would say the fact that she confessed so readily to what is ailing her.
That phone call so that he would hear her and ask what was going on. And I also don't know whether her story adds up, because she's saying she's 6 weeks gone.
Yeah.
And I know that you can find out then, but I think she says something later that doesn't add up to that time
I don't remember. But yeah, it does feel like a bit of baloney, you're right. She says, oh yeah, the father was just some guy I hang around with. I kind of get the impression that Millie is still a good Christian girl, and I know that, not everybody who's Christian will necessarily practice what they preach, but I would imagine that she's a little bit... I'm getting the impression that her reaction to Theo being gay would make...
What are you trying to say?
It feels like she's a bit, a to-the-book Christian.
Right.
And that would mean that she would be a little bit more chaste in real life.
I would say the vast majority of Christians completely ignore anything to do with sex and what you're supposed to do according to the Bible.
The impression that I've had of this girl so far is that she's quite a bit of a goody two shoes. But we don't know her particularly well. But when she said, "I'm pregnant," my immediate reaction was, "What, you, Millie? No way! That doesn't sound like the sort of thing that you would do."
So what you're saying is, because of her reaction to Theo is more of a biblical one, you think that she would be hypocritical to be also...
Yeah, but also she does seem like she's...
really believes it.
No, no, but she seems like she's a good girl, that she's someone who follows the rules, someone who's maybe a bit of a teacher's pet at school. That's the impression that I got of her.
Okay.
That she was, studious, good.
There's definitely sorts of people, and this doesn't cast aspersions on anyone who doesn't choose to do this. There's definitely sorts of people that would just never sleep around at school or have sex with their boyfriend at this age. And that's not to say that people that do are wrong. It's just like different. It's a different type of person.
I don't get the impression that Millie is even the sort of girl that would have a boyfriend.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just really difficult to say it without people getting offended and feeling as though you're saying something.
Yeah, no, I don't want to offend anybody.
But that's not at all the case. It's just...
I was quite taken aback when Millie made this confession, because...
I wasn't, but I can see where you're coming from.
But yeah.
So she probably never even seen a boy in her life.
Exactly.
It's all a lie.
Anyway, she's like, I want to get rid of this kid.
So again... So this is interesting. Like, is this a test of morals for Todd? Is she like going, this man is, I'm an uber Christian. I was raised to believe that gay people are wrong, and also cheating is wrong. And so I'm going to test this guy to see if he really is the monster I believe him to be. So I'm going to tell him I'm having like premarital sex and that I want an abortion. And he's just going along with it because he's a monster.
Yeah.
I do wonder if there's an element of like that kind of, it was a moral trap and he just fell into it by going, let me get you a secret abortion.
Yeah. This character of Millie,
I love
got
how
some
manipulative she is. So say what you like about whether she's a Christian and she would never, have sex before marriage. But she obviously doesn't care about lying. I don't think Jesus would have done this, Millie.
Anyway, Todd says to her, look, go to the chemist. I'll go to a chemist. I'll get you a test, and you can try again just to be sure.
The worst thing is that he said to her, "Don't tell your dad until you know for sure."
Yeah, exactly, and that's what kind of causes a bit of a fallout later on.
He thought, I'm going to be able to get Millie on my side here by being her ally in a time of need.
Right, exactly, because he's been trying to find something that can get her onto his side.
Abortions.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, though, for Todd, while he's out, Theo arrives at the house, and when Todd gets back, she's all kind of snuggled up on the sofa with her dad, and Millie says to him, yeah, Todd's gone out to get me a pregnancy kit. This is so clearly a ruse, isn't it?
She's like, Todd told me to lie to you. And Theo's like, oh, it's not your fault, you poor lamb.
This is, it would have fooled me, because it did fool me. But now I go back over it.
This is also so manipulative, because I think that Millie can use this to try to make Theo think that his like dalliance has influenced his children in a negative way, and that having an affair has made his daughter go out and get
exactly.
pregnant.
If she's 6 weeks pregnant, and I think it's longer than 6 weeks that he's been in the show, isn't it? But clearly he's been made to think, that me tearing the family apart has put my daughter down some
immaculate conception.
I don't know what Millie's. I guess her long-term plan with this is like either pretend she's had an abortion, pretend she's had a miscarriage.
That's what I think she'll do.
It's
the stress.
And that in turn would, I guess, in her mind, make her dad want to stay around the family even more to support her as she's grieving this lost baby. Quite ingenious, really, isn't it?
She's a little minx. If this is true that she is a liar, and I'm 100% like you could, I bet money on it. I bet 50 quid on it.
Yeah, she is definitely the brains, while the dad is the brawn of this family, isn't she? Anyway, Todd's
Todd's like, I can't believe this.
What's going on here? And Theo's like, don't worry, Millie, none of this is your fault. And Todd just rolls his eyes on the fact that Theo has basically rolled over for his daughter.
Now, I know that this is, obviously, I think Millie is being manipulative here, and I totally can understand how that would be a bit annoying if you're Todd, but to roll your eyes at this poor teenage girl who's desperately trying to connect to her dad, I feel so sorry for Millie. Like, the only way she could get her dad to pay any attention to her whatsoever is to do this ridiculous stunt.
Well, I think this is part of the thing, isn't it? Because it's Millie being painted out to be the bad guy in this.
She is.
Because actually,
again,
she's the one whose dad walked out on the family after having this affair, so fair play to her that she's trying to cause a bit of trouble before him. I'm definitely team Millie here.
I feel the fact that Todd's like rolling his eyes,
her manipulativeness.
Todd should feel ashamed of himself here.
He's got no shame.
That he's driven this poor girl, and she is a young girl. I know that she is being a liar and a sneak and a cheat, but what's she doing it for? To get her dad back in her life? Is that really the worst thing that anyone's ever done?
I know. Anyway, Todd ends up in the cafe later. Roy sees him there. He's kind of lost on his thoughts a little bit. And he says, I'm helping. I mean, didn't he say to Roy, like, have you ever helped someone and lived to regret it? Oh, yeah, you did go to prison last year, didn't you? Because of your helping Lauren. And Gary's listening in and says, look, I'll be a bit of a sounding board if you want. What's going on, Todd? Then Sarah comes in and sits in as well. And they basically...
Sarah's become quite the little listening lady, hasn't she?
She has.
She's always everyone's friend. Have you noticed that? For about a year now. She's always the one that wants to know everyone's business.
Yeah, she wants to know the goss and the drama, doesn't she? Anyway, they basically get together and say, don't worry, I'm sure things will work out okay in the end. You also had a little bit in this episode of George, well, the whole week really, there's a few scenes of him pining over Eileen, isn't there? Was it today's episode that we learned that she's doing okay in Thailand and she's giving these very short texts to George? Yeah.
Why would she? Tell him anything. Anyway, I love the fact that Todd has rallied his friends to tell them that his boyfriend's estranged daughter is pregnant and he's the victim.
I know. Well, it works anyway, Millie's plan, doesn't it? Because when he returns to number 11 later, Todd's told by Theo that he is going back home.
Because Millie needs it.
Because Millie needs him to be a dad.
The most tragic thing about this is plan will never work because Millie hasn't accepted that her dad has moved on from the family and he cannot be with her because he is gay.
And clearly,
and she hates him
the
now.
fact that Danielle decided last week to seduce Jason
I bet Millie
just
doesn't
to
know
get
that either.
No, I bet she doesn't. But the fact that she did it just to get back at Theo means that there can't possibly be a healthy long-term
dynamic. No.
Rebuilding of this relationship.
Well,
this is dead in the water now.
Well, here's the interesting
thanks
point.
to Theo.
Here's the interesting point, though. Not every character who's not a main character is going to have a happy ending. Lots of side characters have really crap endings to their stories if they even get one at all. Is this going to be like a miserable? I'm going back to my wife and I know I'm gay and she knows I'm gay and we hate each other, but we're going to stick together because
Doing it for the kids.
I have to, for the dignity of my family, pretend forever. Is that what Theo's eventual exit will be? Because I can't see him sticking around. Honestly.
I can't see him. He's not feeling like a long term. He's feeling like a guest character, isn't he, at the moment? So yeah, he's confining himself to a life of misery. With I just
feel. I can't understand how Corrie has managed to make it so that I have no sympathy for the one they clearly want me to, and all the evil side villains like the horrible daughter and the evil mum. I think that they're the victims.
Totally justified.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love it if that is actually what we're supposed to be thinking.
Where's the boy?
I just want to see more and more moments of triumph from Danielle as she gets one over this massive cheat of her husband.
Don't really like this trope of the evil, manipulative women tricking the men. You know?
No,
because they've both reacted. Millie and Danielle have both kind of like reacted quite badly. But it does really feel like these horrible women are trying to stop these men from living their truth. I think they're fighting a battle with the only weapons they got.
I know. Theo at the end of the episode goes back to live with his family, and Todd's left thinking, "Oh,
well, he goes up for a party, and then he stays."
Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yeah, that's it.
And also, sorry to jump ahead, but on Friday's episode, Todd goes on this girl's social media and sees a little picture that she's put on of her family, going, "Oh, happy families," and he's getting jealous of a teenage girl's social media. Like, have a word with yourself, Todd. Take a step back and think about what you're doing. You're stalking a teenage girl and getting jealous of her because she's hanging out with her dad. That's weird.
Oh no, did he go on Monday? I can't remember. There was a scene at the beginning of Wednesdays, or near the beginning of Wednesdays, where Todd's like, "Oh, before you go, can we?" It felt like he was asking them for one final goodbye bong, but they ended up going to the Rovers anyway.
They had a hot pot instead, which is just as good.
Yeah, 11 mysterious
secret herbs and spices.
Yeah.
11. Imagine if that was KFC's slogan. It's 11 mysterious herbs.
Basically, what happens in the Rovers is Todd catches the eye of James, doesn't he? Because he's talking about abortions and not keeping
unwanted babies. And James is like, "What's that?
There's a baby going spare.
Another one?
Bagsy having them. But yeah, did you feel...
James is like, "I think my baby I've got now is on the rocks a bit, so I need a backup."
Did you feel like there was supposed to be some sort of spark there between James and...
Yes, a lot of people did read in.
They pick up on that.
I saw somebody I'm sorry, I've forgotten who it was that commented when everyone was talking about Lou and Gary and them for flirting. And then you get James and Todd flirting. And there's definitely, the idea that, oh, can't people just talk to each other? Kind of like what people were saying about Glenda and Bernie. Can people just not have a conversation without everybody throwing into, like, starting to ship them? But, I'm sorry, but Coronation Street has form for only having people have conversations with each other when they're about to have an affair. So the fact that Todd and James sat next to each other is going to make people think, "Oh, what's going on here?"
There is a bit of an age gap between them, though, isn't there? There's a good 10
irrelevant.
years. They don't particularly seem like each other's type. I suppose Todd does like the muscle-bound kind of fella, and you got James being the very fit athlete.
Theo...
I think that James could definitely do better than Todd. It feels like...
Oh, that's mean.
I'm not, and that's no slight against Todd.
We don't know
but
whether
I think that James could have any guy that he wanted.
We don't know whether they recast Danny before they killed him in a car crash.
This is
I know
true,
he's not dead, but I like to think he's dead.
So watch this space there. Again, another affair that I'm not particularly interested in happening. I want Todd to be happy. I don't want him to be lumbered with a Bailey. I'm sorry, James. You can do better than that, Todd. You can. Friday, there's just a bit more of the same, really. George mooning over Eileen and Todd being sad that he's separated from Theo. And doesn't Glenda say that she's going to do a drag night next week or something to try and get him out of the depths of despair
She's not doing it to cheer Todd up.
Oh no, but it will cheer him up.
Of course
apparently.
It will. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's going to be a jolly good time. That was that story.
We really brushed over a lot of the nitty gritty, but you get the idea.
You get the idea with that.
You get the idea with that. Right, Fosters. On Wednesday...
You can probably skip over a lot of this as well, to be fair.
Sally and Tim are going to have a course about how to be foster parents. And
therapeutic fostering.
Yeah, there's also a bit where Sally lords it over Lauren because she used to be a barmaid and Lauren's doing terribly.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun seeing.
About it. And then she starts to worry that she's judgmental, and I don't think anyone can really assuage her of that sentiment. On Friday... Lou wants Brody to get the girls from school, but he can't do it, so she gets Tim to, and this is why when Sally comes home, they're ensconced on the sofa, taking over the telly, and Sally's also offended that she didn't get invited to this barbecue. Join the club. Oh,
I loved Sally's line where she was like, I can't believe they didn't invite me, but they invited Lou, or something along that line, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's why Tim is still looking after the kids, because Lou's gone to this barbecue.
Yeah. And Sally was in full-on snob mode today, wasn't she? When she was talking about how much their house is so much better than what the McAllis kids are used to.
Well, she says they fold the ends of their toilet rolls.
Yeah, that was
very
great.
lucky.
That was fun.
Then there's a scene where Sally comes downstairs and has a go at Tim leaving his pants on the bedroom floor and a plate of old cheese. Oh, imagine the smell in that room. and so she starts having a go at Tim, and there's a bit of an argument, and Shanice
just a kind of gentle husband and wife bickering.
It was a bit more full on than we usually get between Sally and Tim, but it wasn't. But in no way.
I can't imagine that it was much more. Tim has to be able to just
standard conversation in that house.
Yeah. And Tim's just like, whatever you say,
he's
love.
like, oh, sorry. But Shanice reacts very badly to this.
That's the little girl.
She's the little one, and she cuddles up to Joni, who's the older one, and she's obviously very upset and triggered by this argument. And so they both realise that there's something, they're upsetting the kids. So Sally tries to placate Shanice with a chocolate bar, and then Tim's like, oh, you can't give one a chocolate bar and not the other. Do you remember we had training? And they realise that there's like this, because Jodie says Shanice gets upset when our parents have arguments, and Sally's trying to ask them how often this really happens, and she promises them that there's nothing to be afraid of in that house. And then Tim makes a massive deal of like over dinner going, oh Sally, you're so good at making pies, you're the best wife I've ever had, you're brilliant. But Joni sees right through it, and they both go and watch the telly. Then Lou phones Tim up and says, do you mind looking after the girls overnight? Because I'm in hospital because Maria threw me through. She thought we were in a wrestling match, and she threw me through the glass table. And so Tim's like, well, not really, but Lou pleads and he eventually accepts. And
yeah, they're using it as good practice, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it.
That's basically all that happened there. Just a little bit more opportunity for Sally and Tim to be lovely foster parents to the girls.
And then Brody finds out from Lou that what's happened to her and where the kids are.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I forgot there was this story as well. Not much is going on between Ronnie and Leanne this week, is there? They're just having a nice time together. They go to the bistro together and agree that they're really enjoying being friends without benefits. But Toya, who's there serving, is trying to be civil, but Leanne's just like very, very snitty with her. And it was kind of fun. Toya gets Ronnie on his own later, and he's like, I promise there's nothing going on between you and your sister here.
Toya says, don't hurt her, don't break her heart.
Yeah, and he's like, no, there's nothing, we're just mates, that's all. Leanne doesn't like the fact that Toya's interfering, and
Well, yeah, she's like, and Toya says that, I was just looking out for you.
Yeah, and Leanne says, keep your nose out of my business, really. That was basically all there is. Keep your beak out.
Yeah.
We're going to park this story for
none
a little
of your
bit
business.
longer. And by the way, I'm not coming to the barbecue
not
on
coming
Friday.
to the barbecue because I hate you.
So that was what happened in Corrie this week, and yeah, I'm feeling pretty positive. I think you've given it 2 bang-ins this week.
I enjoyed this week. I don't think there were too many massive, like, ridiculous, up the ante stake, like, things that happened. It wasn't. I mean, Lou went through a table, and that was
just fun.
Is that the worst thing that happened? That's what I mean. I don't need every week to be the most exciting week there's ever been.
It doesn't all need to be full high octane, did it? A little bit of mystery and intrigue, which is what we got on Wednesdays.
It was all the better for just being a bit more chill and having more scenes where people were hanging out with their family. And there were so many scenes that were populated by loads of characters all at once, like the memorial and then the barbecue. I love stuff like that. I'm really glad that Corrie fit those scenes in and is using the history of their established characters to drive a bit of the drama.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to give this week's Coronation Street, I think, 4 angry warthogs mating out of 5. My character of the week.
You didn't give it you gave it a high bog standard today.
Yeah, no, I think, on reflection, that's where I'm going. I'm gonna say the character of the week.
It's difficult.
It is difficult. There was some really interesting stuff with Swala, but I think that with the week centering around Lou so much, enjoying Lou, then I don't have any problem in giving it to her as character of the week. I'm really, really enjoying her.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm going to give this 4 of Barry Keoghan's coffee tables because they are quite stylish. And I think my character of the week is going to be... This is a toughie. I think I'm going to give it...
like Betsy as well this week. She had a good one.
Yes, Betsy and Lauren. If only I could give it to them as a couple because I like their crime fighting. But yeah, Betsy was definitely taking the front seat of that. And so, I'll give it to her.
Oh, but there we
she's
go,
4% Chihuahua.
Oh, yeah, she said that, didn't she? Okay.
And how much Latvian, I can't remember, but you'd be proud of that.
Yeah, for sure. Right, that is the end of this week's Street Talk.